welcome to Sci-Fi Vision for March 11th. Tonight we have the season finale of Paradise to talk about. There, Karen just joined us. And as well as Reacher episode 5. Had to think about it. And 9 Bodies in a Mexican Morgue, which is the second episode, and then the season premiere and the next episode of Daredevil Reborn. Not the one that was airing tonight, but the other two. But we're going to start with, I think, Paradise, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Hey, Karen. She's still muted.
She's probably.
Oh, well, she's getting there. She's getting there.
Hi, guys.
So,
how are you?
Hey.
Hi, Karen.
Nice to see you.
Nice
I missed you
guys too. Yeah, I know. You've been gone for a bit. You missed our severance chat that I did with Lori the other day.
Yeah, I went skiing last weekend, and then I went to my dad's house, and now I'm back home today. Nice to be here.
Yeah, glad that you're back. Please, everybody, if you haven't, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can check out all our previous live streams under the live tab and all our video interviews under the video tab, and of course, other interviews at scifivision.com. We have our severance breakdown will be Saturday at 11. That's a bit away now. It's only Tuesday. And but Sunday on the 16th. I'm like, is that this Sunday? I think that's this Sunday, isn't it? I had to think about it. Yeah, this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern is when we start our Yellow Jackets show on Sunday, because we have special guest Nia Sandaya, who plays Aquila, who will be joining us at 7. And then after that, we're just going to finish our live stream. And so the watch party will actually be at 6 o'clock. So everything's really early on Sunday. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So if you haven't, you can join our Discord, whether you want to, whether you care about Yellow Jackets or not. We have watch parties for different shows before we do the live stream. So please, if you haven't, join Discord. All right. Well, while I'm typing this, why don't we get started? I'm just typing the link so it's there. SciFi.com. Had to think about it. There we go.
So tonight's going to be fun because I feel like you two are more on the page than I am.
Oh, I don't feel like that. I'm glad you feel like that.
No, I mean, you two are on the same page.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant for yeah. Okay. Yes. With the way we felt about the episode. Yes. Since you just saw it, Karen, what did you think about it?
Oh, sorry. I stepped away for a sec. I'm back.
That's okay.
I literally just walked in my front door 5 minutes ago from being away for a week. So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, we're on the same page for which, AJ? You think we're on the same page?
You and Jamie are. You and Jamie are on the same page.
So I'm not super excited about the ending of Paradise. I mean, there are parts of it I liked, and I generally like this show, but I don't really like the resolution of the murder. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a short point. Yeah, we even were saying before it aired that we did not want the murderer to be somebody we didn't know. And it's not that we didn't per se know the murderer. I mean, we'd seen him, but he wasn't who we thought he was. It was somebody from technically outside the Paradise.
Not outside how we were saying, though.
Not outside how we were saying, but it was a relatively new character, someone that we'd only seen very, very briefly throughout the season. And I felt like it was a letdown because I was waiting for some kind of big reveal. I'm not saying they didn't do it well. I'm not saying it didn't work. And this show overall has surprised me multiple times, which is hard to do. I do enjoy the series. I just did not love the finale and who the murderer was. And I mean, we did kind of say that maybe the murderer wasn't really the important part of the season. So I guess in that sense, it doesn't all that much matter because we still got the rest of the story that went well. I just would have liked a different resolution to the murder personally, but it was still a good episode. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything. It was a little disappointing. Hey, Jen, welcome.
I don't like that it's a guy we met for 1 second as a side character who was just the librarian. And it turns out that he has this entire serious backstory that we never knew that's revealed to us in the last, Yeah, it bothered me. He's basically a rando, basically a random guy did it, right? Person that really there's no reason anybody. AJ, if you tell me you suspected him, I'm gonna call bullshit on you because there's no way you suspected him, right? And he's basically a rando did it, and that's the thing that Jamie and I were most worried about, that it would be like some person who didn't have any role in the story. Did I like his backstory? A little bit. Did I like his anger? Did I like the way he sort of was like, I didn't like the way he was like, once I got inside, I was very chill about it, which I get. I like that. He gets inside, he's chill, he enjoys it. And then I saw the president and all my rage came back and I had to assassinate him. Right? Like what? Right?
Kind of. I guess Jen was a little disappointed too. She said that it felt rushed. They didn't know it was going to have they didn't know that it was going to have a second season. And I agree. It kind of felt like maybe they weren't sure when they first aired it, or first wrote it, which I guess is the case, but they could have written it for either. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I agree with that. I think it would have made more sense maybe if it wasn't coming back.
I get that, Jen.
It was really quick that they found him and killed him. And she also said we got his whole backstory in 20 minutes. Yeah. Basically, that's the problem.
Right. And I guess I don't even think we have a picture of him in the entire.
Yeah, we do. I added it. Right? I added it.
Here he is. That I get that. I understand Jen saying like they didn't know they were going to get renewed, so they had to have a resolution, but it did feel really rushed. And I don't know, AJ, it resonated with you better, right?
Yeah. I feel like, I'm glad that it wasn't somebody from the outside. Like, he's been here this whole time, and I completely understand his anger and everything. I mean, these men, and then, and once again, here we go with who gets to be the 25,000. Well, these guys just built your fucking city, and they're all going to get sick and die. Good. Now we don't have to worry about them coming to the city. They totally kicked this guy out of a job because he's like, hey, this is not good. Like, this is going to kill these guys if they keep working in here. We need to, do the, we need safety precautions and we need to do things, so, and they're like, oh, yeah. And then he tries to go to work the next day and he can't get to work because they care more about building the city than the health of everybody. Now, yes, okay. They know that everybody's going to die that doesn't go to the city, but he doesn't know that. The poor guy, poor guy tries telling people. Everybody tells him he's nuts. He looks like he looks like a wacko conspiracy theorist, to the point where he gets, he loses his shit and decides killing the president is the only answer, which I disagree with that part, but partly because that's never the answer. Secondly, because he doesn't know all the ins and outs of everything. But I get it. I get how that drove him to that. Then he unfortunately kills those two innocent people because he's so angry and so pissed off about this whole thing. So the backstory, is no different than any other backstory we've got. Did we suspect Billy was a crazy sniper when we first meet him? We all kind of liked Billy. And then we get his backstory and it's like, oh shit, he's, not right in the head. So, and actually it's similar to Billy because like we kind of felt for Billy because he had a really shitty upbringing and it did not work out well for him. Kind of, and this guy, same type of scenario where he had a shitty situation that got shittier. And, he gets down there and I get it, like he was chill. And then seeing the president, like I could totally see how that would bring everything back to him. I could totally get that.
Yeah, but
and we've said, hold on a second, and we've said all along that the murder seemed personal. The tablet was a red herring the whole time. He dropped it because he got hit in the back of the head. But I don't feel like it was a last ditch effort type of gotcha moment because the story made sense. And I maybe I feel better about it because I've said since day one, I don't feel the murder is the central story. I feel like the murder feels like not even a B story. It feels like the murder felt like a C story. Like the murder was what got things started, and then didn't matter really who killed him. You know, especially once we knew that it wasn't Sinatra, who I always kind of suspected it wasn't because that was too simple.
Yeah, I guess it was like extra sad. It's like the guy got over the Secret Service by wearing the old glasses while fake mustache. Yes, right, Golden Child. It's like,
it was a little too simple there, but yeah, I mean he did, and I'm surprised that he got in so easy. But I mean I get how he did. He just kind of like distracted them, so they were annoyed, which sometimes works.
yeah. Well, and in the end,
make it right.
Like he kills Cal, but Cal's not really the bad guy. Like it makes the whole Cal story even that much sadder because
it does.
The librarian kills Cal because he doesn't know that it's Sinatra. It's really Sinatra, right? It's really kind of sad that Cal is killed and dies for this, but Cal certainly was not the person who had these people working in these conditions, right? It was Sinatra.
Yeah.
So that was really, I mean, his death is really even that much sadder, kind of, right? In the end.
Yeah. Misha has a point. Was he specifically waiting for that guy to kill, or was it just coincidence he found someone he could look like? That was kind of really lucky.
I feel like he was kind of looking for somebody that resembled him somewhat, because you see he was looking in a bunch of cars, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like that was the only car he walked up to and was just like, you'll do.
Yeah, he didn't look the same though. I mean, they did a really good job, I think, with the transformation, because I was like, is that the same guy? So yeah, they did.
I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, you too. I mean, the woman who was the cheese fries waitress, she was definitely just right place, right time, right? He just was like, I'm traveling. I mean, I guess he needed a woman to travel with him because they were like, she was part of his cover, maybe, but.
Yeah, well, the guy that he took over his identity had a wife, I think was the point.
Yeah, he kills the husband and the wife.
Yeah.
And then
I think his initial idea was that he was just going to go in as the husband and be like, oh, my wife, I don't know where she is. She couldn't make it. But I think, you know, the Margaret is her name, whatever her name is. She, like you said, she's just right place, right time. She looked about as sad as he was, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I kind of find it. Well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't have made sense if he had picked somebody else, but it made sense that he kind of took like this random person. But I think it's interesting the fact that like he just took this other person that I don't know, that wasn't going to get to go. He had no purpose. He just sort of picked her randomly because she was, I don't know if it's because she was sad or not, but I liked that part. And we knew her a little bit more, I feel like, than we knew him. Not that we've seen her tons, but like at least her, we recognized him. We saw for so few split seconds. It was like, really?
Yeah. So meanwhile, this all becomes clear to Xavier, who's got, you know, like, he has to go figure. I mean, we left off in the living room, in Sinatra's living room, where Xavier is like, he learns his wife is, like, last week he found his wife is alive and his daughter was kidnapped, and he really has no choice but to call. He calls Robinson. He's like, "Gotta call it all off, right?"
Yeah, and Robinson's like, "What do you mean? After everything we went through?"
Yeah. But he says, like, look, the DNA doesn't match. Can you please try to, is this from, he's like, oh, that's right.
No, that was before. I got the one of her.
He's like,
can you please, for this episode, so I couldn't.
He's like, can you please try to look at the DNA and find out, like, anybody who, like, shouldn't really be here, right? I guess is where he, and Robinson's like, whatever, I'm not wasting my time with this shit. I'm going to Dr. Gabby, who obviously is a problem here. And Dr. Gabby is all like, oh, I'm so sad. I sucked up to a bad person. Let me eat a bunch of ice cream and be sad, right?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of basically what she's up to, right? She's like, oh, I was a little disappointed that her story didn't really go anywhere, but maybe it will next season. Like the idea that she was so tied to Sinatra and knew so much, and the end was just like, oh, I'm sad. I was misled. I'm gonna cry now. Like, kind of, I didn't love that resolution. But
Yeah,
now
it made her sort of superfluous, and she was really important through a lot of it. And it, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I really expected her character to do more. It was like they just, I don't know. She definitely felt like she should have been more utilized. And I thought, especially once her and Xavier kind of seemed like they were teaming up, and then she just kind of like it was like they used her to team, to get him headed in the right direction, and then they just kind of sidelined her.
Yeah,
is what essentially happened.
Misha was disappointed too.
Her story goes nowhere in the end.
Yeah. I was going to say, Jen has another point, though. We did see that guy when he shot Sterling originally. And I did think that was a good tie-in when that happened, and I had forgotten about that. But I still feel like that, okay, that was good, but like the fact of who he was overall, I didn't like that he wasn't somebody we had really known. But I do like that
I kind of like
or tried to shoot the president, shot Sterling, rather.
You know another reason I like it, though? Because you ever watch a TV show and there's like a special guest star and it's like, I don't know, say it's like, oh, look, it's Terry O'Quinn. He's in this episode. And then the whole thing's going on and everything. And you're like, oh, he's the killer because why else do you have Terry O'Quinn? You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So I kind of like that it wasn't, I like the fact, I think I'm okay with it because while it was somebody we haven't really seen much and would never have suspected, I liked it because it made sense at least. Like you can tell it was very well crafted, I feel like. As opposed to, because the status quo is okay, you get a bunch of people and then like here's your cast and then you gotta figure out which one's the bad guy and that's everything. And again, like I said, if this show was about the murder, then yeah, I would feel a little let down. But it's about so much more.
I
feel
guess
like Cal's murder is just a catalyst.
Yeah, but my question is, did they just have it be him because they wanted to subvert what we expected and have it not be someone from Paradise? That's my only question. Like, it makes sense, but I almost feel like they did it for the shock value. And which is, I think, part of the letdown, I guess. And somebody,
I feel like it's the opposite of the shock value.
That they made the librarian the killer, Jamie, you feel as like a shock value kind of
like
element?
They didn't, like everybody was suspecting, everybody else. So they wanted it to be somebody we didn't suspect. So they had to pick somebody outside of like a certain group of people, if that makes sense. And I mean, I was still surprised, but I feel like, did it totally make sense with the story, or did it more work because they were trying to be surprising? I don't know if I'm saying what I'm meaning right, but that's kind of what I feel like a little bit. I don't think that's completely the case because it does work, but I feel like maybe to me it would have made more sense if it was one of the main core group, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of shock value, I think like if it turned out that Presley killed him.
That's true. That's fair.
That's a shock. That's a shock killer.
I mean, I think kind of as a story, it kind of worked, and I think it was Jen the teacher commented in the chat that we like that it tied back to the attempt on the president's life, before they went underground.
Yeah,
but exactly. I defy anyone to say they saw that coming. Is there anyone on the entire internet who was like, "Oh, that guy who shot at him looks just like that"? Like, and I just feel like it was a little too. Yeah, AJ, it works as a story, but it doesn't work as a mystery that anybody could ever possibly figure out, right? Yeah. And that's what bothers me.
And that's my point, though. I never, and that's fine that you guys saw it differently. I just never saw this as, this isn't Who Shot JR.
No, but I guess I'm like, I want it to be something I don't expect, but I don't want it to be so far out of what I expect that nobody would have expected it, I think is what Karen's kind of trying to say. And that's what I'm trying
Oh
to
yeah,
say.
right. And that's what I'm saying. From my perspective, I never felt that the killer was the point of the story. So I wasn't expecting something that I could have figured out necessarily. Like, I'm okay that I couldn't have figured it out
I
because
like to try to figure them out though. Like I wanted
yes,
to at least
yes,
be in
don't
the
get me wrong,
realm of
Jamie.
possibility.
I like to figure that stuff out too. But I feel like in this situation, who killed Cal was never for me an important thing. The why was more important to me than who did it. You know, if it had been Sinatra, okay, why specifically? Because she had about 15 reasons. You know, for me, everything else with, you know, the why they're there, the people outside, you know, all that other stuff has always been more interesting to me than who killed Cal. I didn't care who killed Cal because who killed Cal wasn't important. I felt
Really? I mean, I feel like,
and I better get a Jane backstory because she's fucking nuts.
we'll get to that because there are comments on that. I mean, I feel like we were sold on a murder mystery, and the whole dystopian part was the backstory. Like, for people who were told like this is not a dystopian story, I feel like there's a certain viewer that this is not what they were expecting. And I get, like Jen says, it's like the writers put the story into a template and then filled in the missing twist part in the template. And it was, you know, they just filled it in with this person who did this thing that wasn't any way that you could figure it out. And given that the whole dystopian, like underground living thing was very backstory-ish, and the Who Killed Cal was the front story, I just felt like I was disappointed that.
And that's why we feel differently about it. I mean, was that how they promoted it, as a murder mystery?
I guess it really wasn't promoted one way or another, was it? I mean, I don't know because I'm trying to think.
I mean, personally, I never saw a trailer until Jamie said, "Hey, we should watch this." And then I didn't watch the trailer, I just started watching it.
Okay.
I mean, truly, and to AJ's argument, as Jen says, the important part was that Cal found out about the survivors outside. His murder was a coincidence. Like, his murder is not even relevant at all to the big main story.
Maybe that's the problem I have with it, because that's exactly right. It's not relevant to the rest of the story, because whether he was murdered or not didn't affect everything else that went down. Like, it was just, oh, we got to figure this out, and everything else was discovered because of it.
Even, you know, I mean, even if Sinatra is the one that had him killed, it still would have been irrelevant because everybody found out about people being on the outside anyway.
I guess. And as Jen says, like, that we didn't expect that. It was like a genre flip. Like, you think you're watching a murder story. I mean, I know I told my friend, like, oh, don't worry, this is not my science fiction kind of crazy shit that I watched. This is
kind of what they did with Lost, though, a little bit. Like, they made you think it was something, and then it was really sci-fi, and they kind of
I sold my friend on this being a political thriller, and I'm like, oh, it's a political thriller. It's really like the whole dystopian part is like a side story, and then in the end, the murder is not even, it's a genre flip, as like Jen says, right? I mean, as Golden Child points out, the guy escapes prison like he was a Marvel character with superpowers. It was, yeah. I mean, you know,
we both did it at the same time.
Misha was in it for the dystopian twist, the original trailer. So roped in by the dystopian part. Yeah. I mean, the trailer I saw originally.
I was going to say, I saw a trailer way, way early, and it was all about Xavier. It wasn't about the twist at all because they hadn't revealed it yet.
I saw a trailer that was like Cal saying, like, oh, when I became president, I learned all about like the Kennedy assassination and about UFOs and whatever. And that's nothing like what I really learned, right? And so I thought it was I agree. I was in for the dystopian twist, the political thriller, which I don't really mind a political thriller.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer the sci-fi part of it. It wasn't the main story going on.
Yeah, it was kind of, yes, the sci-fi aspect was kind of clear, and yet I totally agree. But once I watched the first episode or two, it seemed to be clearly a political murder mystery thriller. Like those first 2 episodes, they tried to really downplay the sci-fi aspect until you find out that they're living in paradise, right? And yet,
but part of that was, I think, because they didn't want anybody to know ahead of time either. They wanted that big reveal, which I appreciate that. But at the same time, I can understand people who didn't expect that genre might not have liked it in the end because of that.
It just seemed to be a little side thing for a while, not always, but for a while, it seemed like this living in this underground cave kind of town. The whole 10 Little Indians aspect and the claustrophobia of it, I didn't really, I don't know. I mean, Jen says Cal's murder was relevant to his kid revealing everything, not Sterling. He only wanted to reveal the murdered, not the survivors. He just left alone. Cal's murder was relevant to his kid revealing it. Yeah. So by the end of it, Jeremy's reading from the tablet, right? Standing around and reading everything, revealing everything.
Yeah, Jeremy's got himself a little cult going there.
Yeah, I know Jen said that the tablet was red herring, and it was in the sense that who found it wasn't important and why it was taken wasn't important. But
that ended up
being kind of at the same time, though, it's super important because of the fact he revealed everything.
Well, when I said the tablet was a red herring, I meant for the murder.
No, I know, and that's what she means, I'm sure too. I'm just saying, in the long run, it ended up being important, just not in the way we thought.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, in the end,
maybe that's why I'm okay with everything too, because I'm so tired of the status quo. I like to be surprised a little bit.
I do like to be surprised. I just want to be able to have the chance to figure it out, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like this. I agree, Jamie. There was no chance you could if anybody figured this out.
I think they lied.
More power to you, but I have not seen.
I guess they have no life, and they sat on the internet and analyzed pictures of every single person that has been on every episode.
I was going to say, unless maybe it has his name in the opening credits and they knew the actor or something. Sometimes that happens where they're like, well, I recognize him because I know him from blah, blah, blah. That's a possibility. But in general, 90% of the people, I think, probably more than 90%, did not see any of it in that sense coming.
I mean, honestly, I don't feel like this is a show that anybody's paying that close attention to. I mean, it's not like watching Lost or
right.
the type of shows where we sit and dissect everything.
I feel like it could be, though, but it doesn't. I don't know that it stood up to that kind of scrutiny, but I think it could potentially be, depending where it goes.
How did you guys like the whole side part of the story where, Robinson, is this Robinson? Robinson goes on this, Xavier's like, oh, we got to figure this out. I'll never see my kid again unless we figure this out. And Robinson finds out that French fry lady has a nut allergy, right? That's really how they cracked the case, I think, right?
Yeah, that's how they figured it out.
Yeah, that was something we didn't have that information.
Well, French fry lady didn't have the nut allergy. The actual woman did.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And French fry lady didn't.
The original woman that was killed had a French fry allergy.
I have to say, though, a lot of people have nut allergies. To make it that people can't eat French fries, because those are the only kind of fake, not made from potato French fries they have, kind of sucks. But
it was the cheese. It was the cheese fries.
It was cheese.
Oh, was it the cheese? Right. Okay, I thought the nuts were in the fries. The nuts were in the cheese. Okay.
No,
it was
cheese.
This
is kind of
fries. Fake cheese, because there's enough cows down there.
You're right. It was the
nut cheese, right?
Yeah.
Also in this episode, I don't have a picture of it, but we predicted a few weeks ago that the Dewey Decimal System was the numbers on the cigarette, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was good that we figured that out. But wait, I was going to go to her other comment. Jen has a lot of good comments tonight. Does this mean that guy will be, because he saved Margaret, does that redeem him? Will they banish her? I assume she means redeem.
Because the librarian saved Margaret and brought her in?
I don't know. I feel like no, because I don't think he saved her to save somebody. I think he saved her because he needed a wife. I think that he didn't really care one way or another. I mean, it's nice that he did it, but I don't feel like he did it because he's like, oh, I can save somebody while I'm doing this. Then maybe I would have felt a little different. Will they banish her? I would hope not, but I don't know. She should go maybe in June.
he saved her only because he killed the woman whose space became available, right? Like he murdered someone and then took Margaret in. So I don't think it redeems him. Does it redeem Margaret? Like, does Margaret deserve to be?
I don't think she does, because the only thing she's guilty of is using an opportunity to save her life that she didn't make. Like, if she had killed the person to get in, maybe, but she didn't do it. And I think most people in her place would have been like, yeah, sure, I'll save myself. I think probably most people would.
I think we don't have enough information actually about how much.
I guess it depends what she knows.
What she knows and what kind of part she played, because we don't have enough information other than she was sitting in her car being really sad that the world was going to end and she was going to eat herself to death before that happened. And he said, hey, you want a ticket to paradise here? And she said, okay. That's what we know. That's all we know. And she says, and when they call her out, she's like, he made me do it. She's like, I'm honestly surprised it took you guys this long to figure it out.
It was really a random occurrence that he bumps into her. And
it was just
wrong show. Yeah, it's a random occurrence that he bumps into her, and for some reason he's like, "Oh, by the way, come with me. I have a spare key to the." He's like, I have a. I mean, it's really random. I don't know, AJ, that I agree he was looking for someone to accompany him to.
No, I don't think he was either.
But I don't think he did it out of the kindness of his heart. It isn't like he said, well, since I'm going in, I can save one more person who can pretend to be my wife. He just was like, this guy had a wife, I think is sort of probably where his thoughts went.
Yeah. How'd you guys like the whole backstory where he's like, he's in charge of the crew and so I enjoyed his friendship with Adam, although there were times I thought it was a little bit.
Yeah, I think he was in love with Adam.
I think he was too.
Yeah.
He was obsessed with him, not just in love with him. He was obsessed with him.
Adam had a wife and children at home they were sending money to, but
no, it was his mother.
His mother, right. He was very, I mean, I enjoyed the early part where it showed how other guys were, a little bit jerky, a little bit racist, and they become friends, they bond, they become really good friends. And he tries to save. I enjoyed a lot of it, but then it became a little.
It was all in one episode is the problem. Like, it wasn't like we got a little bit of that previous maybe or something. Yeah. I don't know how we could have. Yeah, it wouldn't have worked.
No.
Also, I was just going to say, we missed this comment before from Golden Child, which is true. And I just want to go back because I know we're not going to go back to Gabby. So I just want to stop on that. We don't know what side Gabby's on. And you're right. I mean, I tend to think that she was supposed to be on the right side, but I mean, some of the stuff was a little shady. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know, like right side, wrong side. I think Gabby made some bad decisions. Like Gabby, like if it's a side, I mean, if I can call it a side, but I think ethically, like the way they chose who goes in and doesn't go, like all that is.
That's true.
Sketchy and remains to be seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as all that, I mean, there is no right or wrong in that, really, because I mean, you're in a bind no matter how you cut it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't save everybody, so.
No.
I mean, aside from her,
she did just hook up with him to get close enough to give her the message. That was like the whole point of that,
It was almost like she hooked up with Xavier just to get close enough to tell him the president had a message. Yeah, I mean, she like her role in the story is like kind of, is that it? She hooked up with, she has a message, she hooks up, she's like she has this very specific role in the story that doesn't really go much further.
Yeah,
and they don't really explore or tell us. Like, I might be more interested in the part where when did Cal tell her that? What was part of that conversation?
Well, we saw that.
I know, but it was underdeveloped. It was underdeveloped, don't you think?
How do you mean?
Well, I mean, it just happens. Like, we see it. It just happens. He's, I feel like Gabby a little Deus Ex Machina and not like a true agent in the story, maybe.
Well, I mean, I feel like we kind of, we knew about it before we saw it.
Yeah.
Because we got the day we got Cal's final days.
Yeah. Here's so many good questions. Jen says, I agree that the librarian used Cheese Fry Lady, and he is unredeemable. He is, right? He's unredeemable. Yeah. He saw some bad shit happening, and he was correct to be irate and to try to change it, but to shoot Cal years later out of revenge is unredeemable. But knowing they snuck in, will they banish Cheese Fry Lady? Is her name Jen? I forget her name. Cheese Fry Lady. Like, should she be banished, or she's in and she's been a good member of the society for 2.5 years? Like, let her stay in, right?
I don't think she should be banished, but like I said, I feel like I need more information on.
Yeah, it depends if she knows he murdered the person to let her in. I mean, he may have just said, "Hey, this person's dead. I can get you in place of her," and not even said to her what happened. We don't know.
Does she know he
in that murder?
No, she wasn't there. He had already murdered them, I think, at that point.
Yes.
Yeah. But was she, was she complicit with the whole? Like, did he tell her everything about his plan to kill Cal? Was she complicit in that? We don't know yet. So I'm saying I don't think we have enough information for that. We might never see her again. Who knows? Next season they might be like, yeah, whatever. She played her part, and we don't have to see her. I mean, who knows? Because I don't think I don't know. Did they build a jail when they built the city?
I don't think he was in love with Adam. I think he was in love with that fufu. I do not like fufu, man. Fufu is not my thing. I've eaten fufu. If you guys have eaten fufu, it's like a
what's fufu?
So in West Africa they call it fufu. In East Africa they call it ugali, I think. And it's like a cornmeal kind of almost like a paste that you eat with maybe a nut sauce or a stew. And so you would have this, like, you know how you might eat, Jamie, you might be accustomed to eating stew on top of noodles or rice or something like that. This is more like fufu's like a corn. Is it cornmeal? I think ugali is definitely cornmeal. And you know how they written their fingers? You would pick off a little piece of fufu with a little sauce and eat it. I am not. I think he had like a peanut stew. Yeah, I think so. I'm not a huge fan, but I don't like white lumpy food. I don't eat tapioca. I don't eat fufu. I don't like ugali. I forget what they call it in Southern Africa. But I love the idea. He wasn't in love with Adam. He was in love with that fufu. Which was spectacular. He took one bite. He was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" Like, he was a really great guy. Like, it's funny to see this guy. Not funny, but to see him become the villain. He was a very good person. He was while there were other guys in that crew that were sort of not friendly. He was very open to becoming friends with a new person. He tried the food, like they became close. Like, he was really a good guy, I thought, right up until the moment that he shoots the president. And even when he's like trying to raise the alarm that these guys are working in deadly conditions, right up to the moment where he tries to shoot Cal, and even then I might have got it. But shooting Cal 5 years later, killing Cal 5 years later in the
well, but he also shot 2 innocent people to get in to cause a problem, though. That's bad, too.
Yeah, yep. Oh, fufu's cassava. Thank you, Misha. Fufu's made from cassava. Chicken dumplings. I don't like lumpy food, Golden Child. I'm sorry.
I like Golden Corral, Cracker Barrel dumplings. Just putting that out there. He's making me think of Cracker Barrel.
Oh, and he was a project manager. And as the project manager, I was in his corner and very sad they made him go cuckoo. Yeah, he was really right up until the moment where he One thing that also I felt was missing in this episode was they just gloss over the whole part where he got in the White House or the president's house, right? Like, yes, we know that Billy and Jane were watching and sleeping and having whatever the hell they were doing. But the idea, like, they just gloss over.
They had no security, apparently.
They gloss over the part where he just walks right in and kills the president. Like, what? Right?
Yeah.
I'm not entirely surprised by that, though. It's late at night, and they're kind of nonchalant about it. I mean, yeah, Xavier constantly follows him around during the day and everything, and he's always, if the president leaves the house, but it's paradise. There's 25,000 people. It's very laid back. There's no weapons, So I'm not like I mean, it was the perfect storm because Billy turned, they turned the cameras off when he went to go do it. Yeah, you got to stretch your imagination that he timed that perfectly. But I get that it's a little easier.
I just felt
Plus, he knows his way around.
When I watched it, I feel like, really, this guy just walks right in there and clocks the president in the head with a drill bit that he brought in and nobody's even noticing. Like, it was like, if Billy wasn't already dead, he should maybe be
fired.
Right? It's really shocking. I guess they tried to set it up, but to me, I was like, oh my God, that, and Misha says that also bugged me. I just hate the fact that he just happened to come by at the right time they were playing.
Yeah, that is problematic, but that's one of those things that you just got to go. I mean, if we can believe it's funny. It's one of those things where we can believe a city in a mountain, but we can't believe that he was able to walk into his house.
I kind of can't. I really kind of can't believe it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, how many times have we been watching something, Karen, and we're like, it didn't seem realistic, but we're watching a show about dinosaurs,
Well, but like the part that should be realistic to us, which is the protection of the president,
right.
Just like he just walks in the door at the one moment where they're playing. Like, there's no way he could know that they were playing Wii. He had no knowledge of this, so he just shows up at the president's house expecting to walk in there and clock him in the head. And like, what?
Yeah,
right. Like,
you would think they would have had more security, but I guess because of where they're at, they don't. But yeah,
and we
actually,
do
we know? Now, here's the thing, and I'm just spitballing here, but do we know how much time he took to plan it after seeing the president that day? Oh wait, that was the same day. He did it the same day.
It's like
so
maybe.
It just, as I asked the question, I realized that it was the same day. So yeah, it's not even like he had time to like scout the area and plan it. So I was gonna say maybe he had scouted and saw them, the whole Wii thing, so he knew when to go. But now I realize after I said that don't look at the man behind the curtain.
It's absolutely a rash, spur of the moment kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree. It's absolutely hilarious that for weeks people had all kinds of theories and turned us just one random disgruntled project manager riding on luck. And we all fell for. Last week we talked about the flower on the back of his jacket and the flower on the father's bookmark, and is it a secret society? Remember we talked all about that last week?
Yeah, I screen capped them and they were very much alike.
Yeah, and it turns out it's just nothing, right? It's not anything.
Right. Yeah, it was just a coincidence that the bookmark was a coincidence.
Yeah, and it turns out
unless we find out that lotus flower is like his the father's logo, and those were like the jumpsuits were part, from like his company or something, then it would have a connection.
Well, I figured that was supposed to be what it was, that like it was partially that because he was a contractor or whatever, right? Like I
don't know what his dad did, honestly. I don't remember.
I don't know. He had something to do with some of the stuff they were making. I just kind of assumed that was partially his company or came from his company. I thought that was kind of the point of the flower. It just didn't really matter in the end. I don't know. Maybe I misinterpreted it, but that's what I thought it did mean. So
I mean, it turned out to be a big misdirect, right?
Yeah.
It really. So, in other news in this episode, Xavier's like, all right, we got to figure this shit out so I can save my daughter. Turns out that Jane has not done anything to what's
Presley?
her name? Presley.
Yeah.
Jane didn't kill Presley.
Never
Or
thought she was
do-
going.
I mean, I never thought she'd be
let her-
killed, but Presley's back. She's safe and sound, you know, and Jane still is like nobody still knows who Jane is, right?
No.
Other than
The only
she's
person-
like a person
the
wanting
only-
to play with me, and that is
The only
funny.
person that knows.
Giving me a Wii.
Oh my god, that was great. She's like, yeah, that was great when she was like, you should have just given me the Wii.
I know, because it's, in the end, it's
It's
true,
like
which is what makes it funny.
She ends up. I do want a backstory of her. I want to see.
I don't think we have a picture of her. There she is. That's our only picture of her. Is this her also?
I think there's another one somewhere. No, I think there's one of her alone, isn't there?
Here she is with Billy.
Yeah, I definitely want a backstory.
Yeah, so she's she brings Presley back and she's like, oh, I want the Wii. Like all that is some crazy.
I still want to know why he had old game systems. That to me is still the one thing. It's like the Severance tech. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why did he not have a PlayStation 5? Like, what was up with the Wii? You can't even get a Wii now.
Have you met Cal?
I know.
Cal
that's
is all
he
about
does,
the
like, old
80s.
music and stuff. Yeah, but the Wii wasn't the 80s.
No, I know the Wii wasn't the 80s, but Cal is. I mean, hey,
That's
I know a lot of people that still like the Wii.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. You think like the
I
way
was
that
never
they're
a fan of
talking
it.
about it, it was this like thing that was so great. Like he had this super high tech gaming system, and it wasn't. That's what made me.
I mean,
question
maybe it's just whatever they could grab when they were building to go downstairs, Jamie. It's not like they were.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's funny the way, especially that they're so into it. Like it's this, really.
Well, it's the only video game, and I think it's the only video game in all of Paradise. Is I think what's about. I don't think she wants Wii. I think it might be the only video game down there. Like, I don't think that people
no kids were allowed to bring toys, though. I have to think like.
Oh my God, Jamie! Remember how the whole thing blew up, and they thought they had weeks, and they only had like 5 hours, and it wasn't like pack your whole house and bring it down here. It was like holy shit.
I would think that some kids would have grabbed that, just like when they had that time. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe not.
I think no parent would be like, bring your video game. They'd be like, get some clothes.
No, but I think the kids would think of it, is what I'm saying. Like, I think that somebody would have thought, oh, I got to grab my toys or whatever. Or like either that or like the ones that were the kids of the rich people would have like,
whatever. The place is
it
not.
It doesn't matter. I'm getting off topic.
Whatever. The place is not popular with gaming systems. Everybody had like 2 hours to pack their shit and get on a plane and go down there, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the only video game down there. I don't think that Jane really loves Wii. I think that and whatever, she's psycho, right? She's a total psycho. Why do you think she didn't kill Presley?
I don't think she was ever planning on killing Presley.
I'm inclined to agree that here's her picture. I agree.
There's no advantage to it. I mean, she's a nutbag, but there's nothing.
She let her think she was going to kill her. Like, what was the?
Well, that's because Presley told her she couldn't have the Wii.
Right, but would she really have killed her? I guess is the question. I don't know.
If Sinatra told her to kill her, I think she would have.
I agree.
Otherwise, she has no reason to.
I think it's because she was never instructed to kill Presley, and she is. Bottom line, she's an agent who follows directions, and she was not instructed. She was instructed to get Presley, right? Or she was instructed to get.
She was instructed. She was told to get Xavier, and since she couldn't track down Xavier, she said she was going a different route, and that's when
she got his daughter.
She went looking for Presley.
But she was never told to kill Presley, and I think that's why she didn't, right? She just wasn't told to kill her. And she let her go. So she goes totally psycho
I just put Jen's comment that maybe she thinks it'll give her a favor with Xavier down the road. That is true, and that's what
yeah.
Because she hasn't blown her cover yet, right? Xavier doesn't know.
It's funny
who
because
she is yet.
She's cuckoo, but she's not dumb.
Yeah. And so how about that crazy part at the end where, not near the end, where Xavier has Sinatra at gunpoint and he's about to shoot her really in the head. That's not the scene. I'm trying to find it. He's got her at gunpoint and he's maybe about to shoot her, and Jane comes in and Jane shoots Sinatra. What do you guys think about that?
I thought it's about time, and I knew he had that ankle holster. You had to see that coming.
Yeah, I think. Whoa, I think is it working?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I like the part where she says like, he was going to shoot you in the head. I only shot you in the chest.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I basically by shooting you in the neck, I saved you from getting shot in the head. Is basically what she says.
She's
right?
not wrong.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. I mean, she did. Xavier was probably about to kill her, and I was with Xavier. Like, I don't want to be the person that says kill people, but she needs to be killed. And Xavier was maybe about to do it, and so Jane, by shooting Sinatra in the neck, saves her. We don't picture her, but we see
it also saves herself too. Now that she's mad.
Well, she shot Samantha right where she can't speak. Right?
Yeah.
Like, she stopped Xavier from shooting Samantha in the head, but to Xavier, it looks like Jane is really helping him. Like, she like, it's a double whammy because it makes Xavier think that Jane is on his side, even though Jane is really on Sinatra's side, right?
You know what? I don't know. I think Jane is on Jane's side.
That's true.
Yes. And I think Sinatra is going to be sorry about it, right? Like, Sinatra brings Jane down she brings who knows how many killers down there. And Jane is clearly psycho. And now Sinatra's like stuck with her. And she's in a hospital bed. And who knows what's going to happen when she gets out of the hospital bed, because we see later that the vice president finally gets a spine and stands up to try to take control, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because all the old white people were losing their minds.
Yeah. They were all getting like super crazy. And finally the vice president I mean, they're all basically like wimpy people. I mean, do you think that this so here's the thing, you guys, you two, and also everybody in the chat, do you think at that moment where the vice president says, oh, everybody
Shut the hell
let's
up.
go back. Let's go to Jen. Jane knew Sinatra won't kill Xavier, but she's controlled the narrative. Jane's a smart, psychotic bitch. And boom, another pair with X. Yep.
Yeah.
But so Sinatra's going to be in this bed for a long time. Do you think that the vice president found a spine, or he just found one moment where he was like, pay attention? I'm not sure I believe this guy can, like, next season when Sinatra gets out of the hospital, will she have been put out of power, or could she step right back into power? What do you guys think?
I think she's still in the hospital next season.
Yeah, I think that she's going to be in the hospital for a while. I think
she's going to be out of commission for a minute.
Yeah, because they don't want anybody to. I mean, as writers, I'm assuming they don't want anybody to know about Jane. Like, if she's out of the hospital and she's talking, then they find out what Jane did. So it's kind of.
Well, I don't think she's gonna tell anybody. Like, Jane.
Yeah, I guess it would hurt her if she did.
Jane shot her to keep her alive.
Yeah, that's true. But it's also mutually assured destruction too.
Right.
Maybe, yeah.
No, we got to talk about where to go.
I have a whole bunch of stuff I still want to talk about.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead. I was going to say, and Golden Shot, I didn't know if I didn't think I glossed over the tablet comment, but maybe we did. I think because we were all saying it wasn't important, but
Now I know why you glossed over the tablet last week about how did she just randomly find a tablet in the bushes. You knew it was a red herring. Yeah, we talked a lot about how did Presley randomly find this in the bushes, and did Cal throw it out the window? I mean, now we see that it just randomly fell when he was attacked, and Presley, like, that was all red herring, and it kind of it bothers me a little. I mean, I like that it eventually comes into Xavier's hands, and but
Yeah.
or it comes into Jeremy's hands, really. And then it makes Jeremy, I mean, I want to talk about Jeremy a little bit, but it was a major, like, red herring. And why it was just sitting in the bushes, and how Presley was like so much of this story is people being in the right place at the right time.
Right time.
It is.
He was killed, right? Which, look, I get it. Like, maybe if I was a cop, I'd be like, yeah, tons of murders are like right place, right time, right? We solve a lot of shit, right place, right time. But it was so. Jamie, you had seen the whole thing.
I only saw it, I think, a week before.
All right.
So I wasn't that far ahead, but yeah, I don't know. I thought we talked about it kind of at length, but I wasn't trying to ignore it if I did. Sorry.
Yeah.
There was another, there's the start comments. Let's see. So, yeah, Jeremy's the cure on the mountain.
Well, let's talk about that, because Jeremy is like reading from the tablet, basically, right? Like,
yeah, he's going to be the new hero, I think.
He's got his father's, like, he's got the message his father left him. He's got the CD player. He's got, like, Jeremy's really, I mean, Kira the Mountain Dome. I like it.
Yeah,
we see in almost the final scene, Jeremy is like speaking to a crowd of people about, like, this is the truth about paradise, right?
Yeah.
I do like the idea of a vocal opposition appearing in episode 2. I like it, especially in the way that, look, I'm not going to say one thing either way, but some people right now feel that in the United States there's a chilling effect on speech, and, like, the idea, certainly if Sinatra was alive and well, she would not tolerate any dissent type speech, right? She would definitely not. And now, with the president being dead, Jeremy's no longer protected by being Cal's son, right? Although,
at the same time, though, if he suddenly dies, I think it would be too suspicious.
Yeah, you still can't just go around killing people.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, she didn't kill Cal, so I mean, it wasn't like she did it to stop.
Yeah, the only one she killed was Billy.
Yeah.
Although,
she killed Billy.
I've seen some comments online, like, what's up with the president's wife? Like, he's killed, her son is out there, and she's just like the wife is, the first lady is kind of like a non-character almost, right? Like, why is she even in it? Like, she doesn't, like, really care that she doesn't seem to really be a character much this season, given that her son's father was killed. Like, okay, you want to leave him, but he's still the father of your son, right? And now her son is out there being an evangelist.
She did try to get into the house after the murder.
Yeah.
And she, and her only real moment was when she was talking to Xavier out when they were announcing that the president was dead.
Yeah. I mean,
Jeremy's a teenager, though.
But do you think Jeremy could be becoming a voice of the opposition? And
oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you think?
We think Jeremy's group will press the new government to send groups outside.
That remains to be seen how that plays out.
And I think it depends too about Sinatra. Jen says, didn't Jane say the injury will keep her quiet for 6 months?
She did, yeah.
So she's going to be off for a bit.
The question is, will next season pick up the next day or 6 months later?
That's true.
I mean, I like the idea that Jeremy is going to become a voice of the opposition, a rebel leader, a thorn in the side of Sinatra and the powers that be, that he would take up this. I kind of like it. I kind of like seeing maybe I would not mind seeing his story go that way. You know, I like this comment. Are there even courts in paradise? Like, what would you? Is there free speech in paradise? Like, he's out there speaking. Would Sinatra just have Jane take him out? Would he? I mean, I get it. You can't just kill everybody all the time because
if everybody keeps dying, I think it's going to be too suspicious. So
but
I think
is the Constitution even in effect in paradise, right? Or are they like the whole like who knows, right? I mean, that's a really good question also. And like going back to last week, do we think that's really Xavier's wife's voice or that Sinatra had it faked? We talked about this last week.
Well, but last week you didn't see the end. I think it is. I think his wife, because I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so too.
Moving forward, where I figured you guys, I know you didn't think that, but I figured it was because you hadn't seen the end, which is why I didn't push it too hard. But I think that, because I think that next season is going to be Xavier looking for his wife. That's the reason I think it. Does it make sense story-wise? I don't know, but that's what I predict.
I mean, so we have spoken at length on this show that we saw the plane, we saw the flying storyline, and was Xavier going to get in a plane by the last episode? And that's exactly what happened. What do you guys think about the part where Robinson encourages him to go? I'm like, why Xavier? Like, Xavier has kids. Why doesn't? There's a part of me that was like, why doesn't Robinson go? Why don't you send up?
Maybe she can't fly a plane.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
But you don't have to take a plane. Like, are you looking for survivors? You can just go out. If you're looking for Terry, you go to Atlanta.
No, but I kind of question, though, do they think somebody's going to stop them from going out? Like, it's a lot harder to stop a plane from leaving than it is to stop one person in a car from leaving.
But why would they think someone's going to stop them?
Just like Sinatra tried to. I'm sure there's other people that will be like, you can't go out and risk our safety. I'm sure that they'll try to maybe.
I guarantee. Who?
Oh, that's true. They're all on the side, so maybe no.
They're all a bunch of sniveling, whiny bitches.
Nobody knows except Sinatra, and they are sniveling, whiny bitches.
Mm-hmm, true.
I mean, they are, right?
But either way, this plane's cooler. But I do agree.
No, they had they had to do the plane. They had to do the plane so Karen could say, "I told you so."
No, I know, but I do.
Because Karen has been saying all season.
Leave your kids. Let's leave your kids and then make them have no parent. That's real smart. Because that was my thoughts too.
Well, no, Robinson said, I won't. She said, "Go. I won't let anything happen to these kids."
I know, but
I just
what
can't
if
believe
something
that
happens to him?
I just can't believe he would leave his kids. Honestly, I mean,
I can. You know why?
Because it's a show.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nope. Another reason. You
Why?
remember the episode when shit went to when the shit hit the fan, and Xavier like couldn't function, and Cal screamed at him and was like, "You need to get on that plane because you need to take care of your kids."
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I just think like I just felt when I was watching it like, couldn't Robinson go and Xavier stay with his kids, or couldn't anyone who was better equipped to go on a survival
He's the
mission?
star of the show.
Yes, I get it, AJ. I get it. It just wasn't like, as I watched it, I was
I know, Terry.
No, I thought the same thing, but I also get AJ's totally right. Like, he has to be the one. But that's what I thought too. Like I said, why risk your kids losing a second parent? I don't care that she'll take care of him. I care what about him, because they don't want to lose him. But I think Presley told him to go, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah, she did.
I'll bring mom back. Yeah. I get it. It just, I was like, really? Aren't there any number of people who go out there?
Because nobody's going to try harder to get Terry back than him.
Yeah, Misha says I can believe he'd leave his kids are safe for the moment. For me, I'm not worried about their safety. I'm worried about his safety, because what if he can't get back in?
You're right. That makes more. Yeah.
I'm not so, but yes, I think his kids are safe. I believe his kids are safe with her.
I guess he's not aware that a complete psycho assassin held his daughter for like 6 hours while he was not aware of it. Right?
That is true too.
Well, exactly. They don't know that.
Yeah.
Misha says now that, I think you did at the same time I did. Now that everyone knows there's about to know about Sinatra orchestrating events, I think even when she gets better, her powers will be greatly diminished. Yeah, that is a good point, and may be the case. It depends what he reveals to everybody, I guess, and what is the story that they go with. If
Yeah.
it's 100% true or some portion of the truth, I don't know. Because they may not want to tell everybody everything. I don't know. Maybe they will.
Yeah. I mean, we might have touched on this. Misha has another great comment. Do you think Jeremy's group will press the new government to send groups outside? I mean, it depends what is known. Right now, people don't really know, right?
Well, I think that's what he's telling everybody, that there's people alive outside.
Yeah. And Jeremy, I think, is going to become like an opposition leader. Will he? I think maybe he press them to send groups outside. I think that would be a great tension of season 2, like to go out or to stay in. Not in the way that Sinatra did it in a very bad and selfish kind of way, right? But do you send groups outside to find out? Yeah. And then Golden Child next season could involve a silo type plot where large groups want to see the real world for themselves. I mean, that was Sinatra's great fear, right? When she says, like, if people find out, they're going to want to go outside and they'll die. And we discussed, like, isn't that their right to try to go outside if they want? They're not prisoners. They should be allowed to leave. Golden Child, kind of also wonder if there could be a silo type plot where there are more places than just paradise. There are more. I mean, I think it's clear that I don't think Sinatra built more than one paradise. I think there's only one paradise. It doesn't mean that other billionaires didn't rig other kinds of survival strategies. And there are other colonies of people maybe somewhere, right? And could it be a silo type plot? Like, do they even know they exist? Is it possible that if Sinatra has all these tapes of various people talking, does she have recordings of other settlements?
Probably.
Right? Could there be multiple settlements somewhere? Probably, right? Like, I don't think we're going to see a story where Xavier goes around and finds one person at a time, because that's kind of boring, right?
Yeah, that's true. I just want to comment on Misha's comment here. They do know someone spray paint killed on the statue. They definitely know the president was killed, but what I'm saying is I don't know how much they know about Sinatra being involved necessarily. Like, I don't think they can hide that the president was killed, but she wasn't the one that killed him. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Plus, if they do tell, though, they do have to say that somebody from outside got in too.
Yeah.
But did no one hear the entrance?
Nobody
Nobody from outside got in.
Well,
they came in on the first day. Two other people came on the very first day. They didn't get in. They came in on the first day. They just weren't on the list, but they got in. It's not like somebody.
No, you're right. It's not. You're right with what you're saying. It's not the same thing. But as for the plane opening, yeah, I don't even know how he's supposed to get it open to get out. That was my other question, not just about
he hit the garage door opener.
Those instructions were in Cal's diary. He had instructions in his book of how to open the maybe they came from the iPad how to open the door. He had instructions on how to open it.
I think they were in that book. He was the journal or whatever it had about it.
But it was noisy. It was noisy as hell. Yeah, and then a plane is taking off right next to where you live, right? For sure, people like. How can there be a second season where nobody knows he got out? They have to be like, what was all that noise of that plane taking off? How do you not notice a plane taking off? That maybe
I had the weirdest dream last night. I swear to God, I heard a plane taking off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all in your head.
Yeah. I mean, to Misha's point, going back to the murder, Jeremy wouldn't know that the librarian wasn't the librarian.
But I'm assuming they're going to tell people he was the murderer.
And maybe they'll just say it was a deranged citizen, right? They maybe won't say it was a guy who snuck inside and
that's why I said it really depends how much they tell everybody. I feel like.
I mean, I think if I was the corrupt leadership, I would not give out that information. And the point of corrupt leadership and dictators is not to give out information, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be kind of interesting to watch because Sinatra was methodical. She's out of commission, and that VP is not the brightest bulb in the batch.
No, the VP's
very true.
So he might just tell the truth. He might just be like, it was the library, he might make up some shit, but it's gonna be weak.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's kind of mean though to blame it on the librarian in the sense that that wasn't who they thought he was, and it's kind of like don't tarnish that guy's name and say he was a murderer when the original guy didn't do anything. That
Well,
was
he
kind
tried.
of
He tried to kill the president multiple times. He
no,
tried.
no. I mean the real person. Like people think that
Well, the real person's dead, so it really doesn't matter.
Well, but he could have family. Well, yeah, I guess his family's
He's no
not there.
family. His whole family's dead.
Oh, you're right.
I mean, there's one other thing. Like so the whole Gerald McCraney thing. He had a pretty smallish role this season. I wonder if his role gets bigger next season, or is he done because he was Cal's father and now he's like sort of like
he does have dementia or whatever. So,
but he's read into everything. He's part of Sinatra's inner circle, right? And he's I mean, I wonder if he's done now because Cal's gone. Like, is Joe McGraney's like role? Is this character's role like? What role does he play? He's no like the president's gone. He's dead. There'll be a new president. He doesn't have unless he knows stuff and he goes running his mouth, right?
He could also have flashback screen time.
Yeah, he could. I mean, we could still see Cal. I don't think we will. I think maybe he's.
No,
Cal?
I think we still see Cal. I think we still get flashbacks.
Yeah. All right. I guess we've had a pretty good wrap up here. I'm all there. Jen's all there for being other settlements in other countries and parts of the USA. Me too, right? There have to be.
Like you said before, though, I don't think there's another city in a mountain because that was, Sinatra's whole thing. I do think there could be other structures, bunkers that held like 10 people or something. There's definitely other.
Yeah.
There's not 51 silos.
Right. So, like Jen says, not like silo, but each independent. They're all independent, but aware of each other for the most part, because the elite all talk and they're all from different countries. And so maybe there's some communication that they're aware of each other, but they're not connected. They're not aligned. They were not in a joint plan together, but they're aware that each other exists. Because if there was a rich billionaire in America who did this, there's a billionaire in Russia who did this and a billionaire in China who did this. And
fair enough.
One American
and who didn't share their plans with us, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So overall, I think we all really like the season and we're all really psyched for season 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I'm looking forward to working at this. This show did not disappoint. It was for all the weaknesses that we picked apart tonight. That's what we do on the show. But overall, we all really liked it.
Yeah.
One of the better really the best show we're going to talk about tonight, because everything else tonight, I was kind of like,
I like the other stuff. Maybe there's probably all kinds of people that were prepped, like the wife somehow made it from Atlanta to Colorado. There must be some network. I don't know how the hell his wife survived. That part I'm not sure about, but I guess we'll find out.
I don't know, but you never know. Like my brother has this friend who has a bunker in his back. He's like a big piece of property and he has built like a bunker down in his yard with like ventilation and food and power and shit like that for like when the whatever, like like preppers are out there, right? Preppers are real. And there could be not only so I think Xavier walking around and running into random preppers one by one is kind of boring, but running into communities is more interesting. But you never know, right? Like he could run into all sorts of, and maybe his wife could have found did she find a whole city, or did she find 2 preppers that took her downstairs and kept her alive for the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So is it going to be Walking Dead out there, or is it going to be Falling Skies?
Yeah.
I think Falling Skies. I think it was a big piece of information that it wasn't a nuke, it was an EMP, and that the fact that it's an EMP makes the atmosphere, the climate is livable. There's just no technology, right? So,
yeah, but the EMP doesn't last forever. I mean,
it just fried everything that existed, but it doesn't fry anything new. And it makes me think of, And it makes me think of AJ. I watched Zero Day this week, and Zero Day is all about the shortwave radio. It's
really good, right?
It's really good. And Zero Day is really good, and the shortwave radio is like a key thing, right?
Yeah.
In the storyline, and like shortwave radio, like if you don't get killed by any, like I don't really know what an EMP would destroy and what it wouldn't destroy, but shortwave radio is key in that.
An EMP destroys everything except for the plane your main cast is on and the city you're flying to.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's
but
kind of annoying.
I would think it could all be fixed, though, can it? I don't know enough about an EMP. Like, it knocks it off, but it should be able to be brought back online.
No, Jamie, when an EMP knocks something out, it doesn't just turn back on. You have to fix
fries
it.
No, but I mean, like, I would think that, well, I guess it would depend what kind of tools.
How are you going to fix it? And that's a lot of shit to fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just like, you might be able to fix a little radio. You can't fix like a.
You can't go to Radio Shack. They don't exist anymore.
Tower. Yeah.
No, you're right.
So Jen agrees, Falling Skies for sure. Almost prequel Silo, but a different timeline kind of. But yeah, I get that. Almost like a prequel Silo kind of thing. And Jen, yeah, Zero Day. So you might have been here last week, and AJ recommended Zero Day, and I watched it. It was so good.
I was gonna say I haven't watched it yet, so
only 6 episodes.
Hey, we saw something Jamie hasn't.
It's only 6 episodes, Jamie. I think it's really doable in a day or 2, 3 days. And it's not. I thought De Niro. I don't always love De Niro. I thought he was really good in it. And of course Jesse Plemons, who's incredible. Yeah, I recommend it. Zero Day it's actually a little bit Paradise adjacent, I think, right? Like, I think if you like Paradise, you might like Zero Day.
Okay, I'll have to watch it. All right, let's take off our.
All right, next up, what's next, you guys?
Well, I assume we're going to do Reacher, or unless you want to do the other. I mean, we've been doing Reacher first, so I figure.
All right, let's do
get it out of the way.
Let's do Reacher. I had to watch this twice because my friend wouldn't stop talking the first time I watched it. Jamie, we talked last week. Last week, you felt it was a waste of an hour. How did you feel?
I like this week better. I definitely like this week a lot better. And this week ended on a cliffhanger too, because it's the end of the first half. But I like this one a lot better. Yeah, some stuff was surprising too, I guess, but not like on a, Paradise level surprising. But I guess I wasn't surprised though that Elliot was killed. I felt bad that he was killed. The agent. So there wasn't a picture of him. They do not have many pictures per episode in the press dump, so I didn't add any because there was did I add like maybe one or something? It wasn't anything that really.
You might have had like one, yeah.
I might have. I don't know, but yeah, I think we knew that something was going to happen to that poor kid. I'm calling him a kid. He wasn't that young, but that poor guy.
Elliot was his name, I think.
His last name was Elliot. Yeah, that the guy who I'm not remembering his name that escaped. We knew something was going to happen with that. We knew, it was going to go bad. He blew he lit the cigar or whatever and blew the fire in his face. He didn't have to kick the poor kid to death though. That was a bit much, but I get he wanted to kill him because he wouldn't have let him leave. But
well, I mean, we talked, I think 2 episodes ago when that bottle of alcohol was left on the table. I said, Jamie, that bottle of alcohol on the table, and that is going to come around to, haunt Elliot. He's gonna regret that, right? We knew he was going to be killed, or something. We knew the guy was going to escape, I guess, what I would say, right?
I did like how they handled it. That he called that I can never remember their name, damn it.
They called
starts with a V. I don't have the list in front of me. I was trying to find my list of characters. I don't have it.
You mean that Reacher calls Villeneuve and says, "Listen, I need you to help me to make." Where's a picture of Villeneuve? That's not. I got a picture of Villeneuve here somewhere. Okay. Here he is. That Reacher is like, "I need Duffy. I need Villeneuve to help me," and they do that whole thing with blocking the road. So I'm a little interested in. So correct me. Maybe I don't remember correctly. I feel like Reacher is killing a lot of people this season. Does Reacher always kill this many people? Or is this a high number of people?
I don't remember him killing that many people, but I mean, I could be misremembering. But yeah, I thought he usually tried not to, and he seems to just be like, whatever. If we got to kill him, we'll kill him.
Yeah.
But I did like how they faked the car crash and then he shot him, because that scene was funny when he's like, "This is for Elliot," or whatever he said, and he shot him.
I get. Is it funny? Yes, it was a little. That's the
It was
scene where I
rough.
was like, that's one of the scenes where I was like, wow, Reacher's killing a lot of people now. Like Reacher just shoots that guy.
Yeah,
in
they
the
could have
head.
just recaptured him, right? Like they could have, but I get killing him because he killed their friend. But some of the people that they've killed, I think he didn't necessarily need to kill. And
I guess. I mean, Reacher.
No, they're bad guys, but at the same time, Reacher used to be. He's turning into Dexter. Yeah, Reacher used to try a little harder not to kill people. I feel like
he shot that guy in the back of the head in cold blood, right? He sets up a trap, and the guy, like, he leans over to see Villeneuve, and Villeneuve says, "This is for Elliot," and he shoots him in the back of the head. And to your point, Jamie, could they have recaptured him? Yeah, they could have, right? I don't remember Dexter. I don't remember Reacher being this murdery, and also like he's working with two ATF agents.
Yeah, I have a question though. This guy though, it would have been really hard though, because like he would have told everybody what they did. So really, like from a
what do you mean what they did? Tell them what they did. That they held him.
Yeah, but they can't hold him hostage like that. I mean, not hold him hostage. Hold him.
Okay.
Like that. I'm just saying, like from a story perspective, they had to do something with him. So him, it doesn't matter. So like I get that, especially because he killed their friend. But Reacher's been killing a lot of people, not just him.
I guess I think like you're worried, like, oh, we held this guy. We had an extrajudicial like capture, and we held him. They didn't torture him really. They just held him, right? So let's kill him. Like I did one bad thing. Let me do one thing 10 million times worse to hide what I did that was bad, right? I just like the idea that Duffy and Villeneuve are good cops. It is undermined by this, like, let's just kill everybody because, right? Like it's undermined. The idea they're good cops and they don't want to like that they sanction the killing of this guy is a little. I don't know. I mean, I think that, yes, holding him like that is still illegal. It is, but killing him is like
I'm just saying from a story perspective to stop him from talking. Like, I feel like they had to get rid of him just because it would have been more of a mess to try to figure out what to do with. In a real scenario, no, they would have gotten around it, and they did do it to save somebody's life.
Okay.
I'm just saying, from a writing perspective, I get it.
Yes,
but
and in this episode, he kills it in the tubing warehouse. Like he kills multiple people. Also, like Dexter. I keep calling him Dexter. Reacher's killed like at least 10 people this season, right? Like he kills these two guys. He's very shooty and killy.
And he doesn't have remorse. Maybe he was like this last season. I just don't remember him being like this last season.
It's been a couple years. I don't remember it either. It's been a couple years since I've seen this show. And I also haven't read the books. So maybe he always kills a ton of people. And I don't recall it. But I've always felt like Reacher had this code.
Yeah.
And he does have a code. But I just feel like he's like really killing a lot of people right now. And maybe the whole Quinn thing is not played out enough to, I don't know. He's very...
I don't know, but he's going to kill Polly. That is like a given, which I would expect.
I don't have a picture of Polly, I don't think. No, that's the old picture.
Yeah, there's one that has Polly, I think, and what's his face in it that was there from before.
We have some pictures. I'll find it. But this thing with Polly going on... he's big. I got another comment here. Were we surprised at the way that? Okay, yes, Misha, I get it. It's to show how much he wants Quinn. That like Reacher's willing to kill a lot of people and go outside his code a little bit to get to kill Quinn. I get that he really wants Quinn. I get it. I think you're right. I agree with that. Okay. He kills 2 people per episode. and in season 1 he killed like 2 people overall. I think you're right. Yeah, he's
It
killing
might also be the writers, maybe too. I don't know if it's different writers
in the
now.
warehouse. He killed at least 2 guys in the warehouse, right? And he kills
Yeah.
he kills the guy they had. He killed at least 3 or 4.
He's killed quite a few people.
Yeah. Paulie, so that scene where Paulie like gives Reacher a little smack in the head, which didn't look that heavy, but Reacher is like,
I know his reaction was weird.
Well, he was clocked. His bell was wrong. He was a little bit out of like seeing. I took it like he was seeing stars, and he was a little bit out of it. And later, he's bleeding and spitting out blood. Right?
Yeah.
Paulie's big, but Reacher's I was surprised. Reacher's a solid guy.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like, it was a little bit of an overkill, I guess. I feel like.
But I think you're right. They're setting it up for the confrontation, right?
Oh yeah, but that guy. I mean, I get that, but
that guy's definitely gonna die. The fact that he killed that nice French maid this week, he totally has to die before this is over. I like that maid.
Yeah, I did too. I thought, like I told you, I thought that she was going to find out Reacher's secret and not tell any, not tell them and keep a secret. And then you find out here she's good though. She's ATF. I think it was ATF, wasn't it? Was it ATF?
They said ATF. They said she was
ATF. And she had a phone and she was leaking information. Now, how? I guess why? Like, I'm interested in that fact and that they didn't know this as the DEA, and that also we didn't find any information about why and who she was. I guess it doesn't matter, but I would have liked to have known a little bit the fact that there's another agency that's investigating these guys. It's not surprising there's another agency investigating them, but yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more about that. And maybe there's still other people there that were working with her that he could potentially work with. I don't know. But I'm also surprised they didn't find her badge or whatever it was that he had. That was a little.
I'm kind of not. So the fact that there are 2 different agencies working this case and not talking to each other kind of didn't surprise me. I don't know if the government is that bad at communicating, but it's in many, many TV shows and movies. And I'm actually thinking of I just watched what did I watch recently where there were 2 government agencies that were both. I just watched something not that long ago where they were like, "Oh, we have an informant," and somebody else had an informant, and they like it's not an uncommon thing in shows that we watch, right?
Right. No, it just would have been interesting if he found out and they could have worked together.
Yeah.
And like I said, maybe there's somebody else still there. We really don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole thing was for the reaction of him thinking he would be caught.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by that? I can't say I was surprised because I accidentally read about it and found out ahead of time. So I didn't already knew that it was coming. It wasn't him. Yeah, that is true. He is to Reacher what Reacher is to other guys.
Well, for Reacher what Reacher is to normal guys. Yeah, he is. And we know that eventually Reacher will get the better of him. And I feel like in this episode where Reacher said, "Oh, I haven't figured him out yet, but big guys aren't normally that fast. He took me by surprise. It won't happen again," or something like that, right?
Yeah. It was for. She had mentioned before the Bulgarian arm wrestling. That scene was funny. That was a good scene.
Well, and that's where Reacher gets the better of him by wits, not by strength, right?
Right.
And that's probably where this is going to go.
Yeah.
Actually, in this picture we're looking at, Alan Richardson looks like normal sized guy, right? Like he doesn't actually. Yeah. Anthony Michael Hall is wearing a suit and he looks like not, like a normal size.
I don't know. I'm not sure how tall he is, Alan Richardson is, or if they make him look bigger when they the way they shoot it. I'm not even sure.
But he might be like a 6 foot.
He's definitely, solid. He's muscly. But I don't know how tall. But
I also felt, Jamie, like all those scenes of Reacher throwing dead bodies into the sea. And that annoying long-haired little guy who was like, "Oh, it's nature's toilet. Oh, we throw bodies in here all the time."
I liked he punched him though. That was good.
Yeah, and I feel like that guy will eventually go. I'm like, "Oh, this is where you're going to wind up, right?" We have seen too many scenes of this little guy talking about the sea, and I feel like maybe Paulie ends up in there. I mean, I feel like. Probably. Given that we saw a flashback where Reacher shot Quinn and threw him off a cliff into a river in the hope that he'd never be seen again. I feel like maybe this is where Quinn ends up by the end of the season. Like, does Quinn
Probably.
get thrown into that?
I will say though, I learned something. I guess it could not be true, but I didn't know that you could punch somebody in the stomach and make them throw up. That was gross.
That's funny because we also saw in Nine Bodies where they tried to like Heimlich a guy to make him throw up this week.
Well,
right?
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but Heimlich's on purpose. I didn't know you could punch somebody and hit them that hard, but I guess it was more for comic effect. I don't know if you really can.
Punch me in the stomach, I might puke.
Yeah.
Jamie, we also saw this week where not this exact shot, but where Richard, that's his name, says, "Reacher, or you're afraid of those guys?" And he's like, "No, I'm not." And the kid's like, "It's okay to be afraid. I'm afraid. My father's afraid." I'd really like that scene.
I did too. I like the scenes of them together. I still think in the end, because I mean, he's going to help that kid, obviously, in the end. But I kind of wonder if he'll help his father out too, and his father will work with him.
And then he'll find a way to make the father and son when they're waiting again.
He's not. I mean, yes, he got in a bad spot and he's done bad things, but he kind of was pushed into it. One, that doesn't make it okay. I'm just saying. In television type of way of doing things. Second of all, it's Anthony Michael Hall, so I could see it happening. That is not the right picture.
Wrong show. Sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, I don't know. I could see him going over to their side. I think my big, a couple questions. First of all, let's talk about Teresa. I don't want to forget about that because I almost forgot about Teresa. So he basically tells her, Teresa's dead because he's like, if they killed the maid that fast, there's no way that they kept her alive. And I kind of figured that, wondered if that was where this was going because
I agree.
He's in there for Quinn, not for her, and it would make no sense that she was still alive. I mean, we thought before maybe they were bringing food to her outside, but I think we found out that the food was for somebody else that worked there. I can't even remember. I think they actually explained it at one point.
I mean, I agree with Reacher 100%. There's no reason to think she's alive. She's surely dead. But there was that whole speech that Duffy gave where she's like, remember that little kid that we thought was dead and he was kidnapped by mistake? And she says it, she's like, look, we can beat the odds, Villain Wave. You've got to go for it. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to find this woman alive for no reason, right?
Yeah, that's just positive thinking. I mean, she seemed to appreciate before that Reacher doesn't mince words. I mean, he knows she's dead. He's not lying to her. She got mad, but he's trying, I think, to be kind by not keeping her hopeful of something that isn't going to happen. I mean, could she turn up alive? Yeah, I guess it's possible. But that is such a small part of the story because the story is about Reacher, not so much about her. So it doesn't really matter in the long run, I guess.
I think she'll turn up alive. I think they're making part of Duffy's story.
But he has no reason to believe she's alive. And he has no reason to act on the assumption that she's alive.
Well, not only does he have no reason to believe she's alive, but I agree with you that he has great reason to believe she's dead. He's right. She's dead, right? She's dead. There's no reason to think she's alive. If they killed that maid within 1 second, why would they know Teresa? Why would they keep Teresa alive?
What information did she have that was so damn important that they would have a reason to keep her alive?
Or that they wouldn't be contact your handler at the DEA and let's compromise her. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all.
So I think the big question for me is what's going to happen with Quinn, because we know he's McCabe. I mean, we've known that. But at first I was thinking,
I have no picture of Quinn.
That was the picture I meant to upload that I forgot, but it's not from this episode. So it was from the next week's. That's why I didn't. But yeah. So I was thinking before that he's going to know who Reacher is instantly. So this is going to go bad. But the truth is Reacher has not lied about who he was. Everybody knows Reacher was a cop.
He never lied. He was an MP. Yeah, he never lies. Reacher doesn't lie.
It's more about, does this guy remember Reacher tried to murder him? And if he does, he's going to kill him or try to kill him.
And Duffy says, but he supposedly had amnesia, right? And Reacher says, well, maybe he was lying. Maybe he really didn't have amnesia.
And there's also the possibility he could lie and pretend he doesn't know who he is too. We don't know yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, that's a big if. Seems very risky. I think if I lost my memory, would I remember the guy who shot me in the head? I don't know, right? I kind of feel like Quinn's been lying all along and always had his memory. Like if he has no memory,
That's kind of what I thought
he's
too.
gonna lie, right? He's gonna remember Reacher and try to like fake him out. This was episode 6, 5,
No,
5.
this was episode 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have quite a ways to go yet. But I feel, and we know with Reacher, it can take some twists and turns during the season. I mean, I know that I want to go back to Misha's comment where she feels like this season is kind of right? Let me go back up here. Misha, where's your Misha, where's your comment? 0 day. Reacher, the season has been meh. I mean, we talked last week that we felt Jamie in particular felt like it was a wasted episode. The whole Dominique episode was taking a lot of time away from the story. Duffy is not my favorite sidekick of Reacher or companion or co-worker, whatever you want to call her. I'm having a hard time relating to Duffy and getting behind her.
Yeah, I would agree this season isn't as good. I mean, last season I know I kept going and I haven't necessarily felt the need to. I mean, I've been trying to be good and wait anyway, but like I don't feel like, oh, I absolutely have to know what happened like I did last season. I liked it better, I think.
Yeah, and so I haven't read the books, and I don't know which books are people's favorite or not favorite. Like a lot of people have read a lot of these. Misha thinks that Reacher has also fucked up some of the some of the big guys who are more normal size. We've already talked about that. I haven't read the books, and I haven't. So people who read these books are very have different feelings than I think I do as a person who only watches the show, right? Yeah. But I think that it's a little. I don't love Duffy. I like Villeneuve, but he's not. And Reacher shooting all these people is a little. Is he getting a little bit away from? I thought like his moral comp. I mean, it's not like Rebel Ridge, which is awesome. Rebel Ridge. If you guys have watched it. Is a Reacher type guy who tries to not kill people. Yeah. I'm not saying Reacher shouldn't try to kill these people or these people don't deserve to be killed, but there seems to be a lot of extrajudicial killing in this season.
Yeah. I totally agree.
All right, so I mean, it was a better episode than last week, and look, we still like it, right? And
yeah,
I think Misha thinks the main difference between this season and the last one are the relationships. So the relationship with maybe you mean between Reacher and Duffy.
Maybe if they had brought that woman in more, the one that worked with him at that special group. I can't think of what it's called.
But Neely, his old partner Neely.
Yeah, I think that would have been better. And I'm surprised they didn't because she's got her own spinoff. I think I had showed you the post about it.
She might not be in this book, right? She might not be in the book that this is based on. I don't know. Yeah, I don't love this relationship with Duffy is not speaking to me. I like Duffy and Villeneuve better. They to me are a little. I
like them better than her. I thought maybe that it would work. I don't know. I just thought maybe it would work out better because we already know her. Maybe it would feel.
My favorite relationship is Reacher and Richard, right? I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way he looks. And one of my favorite parts of this episode was where Richard's like, "Oh, the power's out. People are coming to kill us," and the father Beck is like, "Richard, come with me in my office." And Richard's like, "No, he's safer upstairs." And Beck's like, "No, Richard, listen to me." And Richard takes one look at him and goes back upstairs where Richard told him to go to his bedroom. And there's this moment where I felt like Beck was kind of
trying to assert dominance.
Well, he was kind of not happy with Reacher because his son went against him with Reacher, and yet I think he appreciates.
But he went against Reacher, right?
He went with Reacher. He went with Reacher. Reacher says, "Go upstairs and stay in your room," and Beck says, Beck says, "No, I want him where I can see him," and Reacher says, "No, he's safer upstairs," and
okay, that makes a big difference. I thought he did the opposite.
Yep. The father again says, "I want him downstairs," and the kid looks at his father and he goes upstairs where Reacher told him to go.
Yeah, because Reacher knows what he's doing, and his father should listen to that.
Yeah, Reacher has saved his
like,
life.
You hired me. Listen to me.
Well, Reacher's already saved his life. Right? And so
he knows.
And so there was a little bit of like a thing there, but I don't think that he really I think Beck trusts Reacher and knows that Reacher has Reacher's best at heart, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are you doing? Sorry. I mean, we really.
I don't want to lose another ear either.
And Reacher doesn't have another ear. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the best relationship, but I do agree with Misha that the relationships are not that great this season compared to past seasons. Like we've seen some in the past. Reacher always has a really great relationship with the people that he runs into and that he meets in the town and that he's working with them. And this is I just don't like Duffy that much. Duffy is not my favorite character of the Reacher universe. And she's just not grabbing me the way I wish she would.
That's fair. That is fair.
All right.
I'm just telling everybody so they know we're going to start in a second. We'll
talk about 9 Bodies.
Yeah, here, give me a second so I can post it everywhere here.
All right, we'll do 9 Bodies and then we'll hold off and we'll do Daredevil last.
Yeah, which I I even put in the description because I'm an idiot. I don't know why I put Daredevil Reborn instead of Daredevil Born Again. I don't know where that came from, but.
Well, I think you're close enough.
Yeah, people will get it. I'm just like, really? I used the wrong tag there. Yeah.
All right, so 9 Bodies in a Mexican Morgue. This was episode 2.
Yes, and I was just going to say to everybody, if you guys want to do another watch party for episode 3 when it comes out, let me know. Because we ended up watching both episodes, which wasn't my intention.
Did you watch party for this?
Yeah, because it came out Sunday night at midnight. So when we were done the Yellow Jacket show, we put it on because people wanted to see it, and then it ended up because we did both. It was with the time change. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock.
Oh, Misha, we won't dwell on 9 Bodies. It's only the 2nd episode, and it's not a show that is very.
Yeah, we don't got to go too deep, but
it's not very mysterious. We have to go too deep into it, so we'll stick around and we will go through.
Well, she probably doesn't want to hear who died though. So, but I can post if you're in Discord, I can post when we're done with it in Discord, like I did with this show, because I know some people will wait for this one.
Well, and to be fair, the premise is that pretty much 9 people have to die eventually, and we're only on the 2nd day. So
yes, and it's also at the very end of our discussion, so we can even say, "Close your ears for a second," and then you can avoid it.
So this is episode 2. What pictures do we have here? So we have pictures of all the main characters. Yeah, what we got. Yeah.
Yeah. I still didn't get. There wasn't a better picture for some of the people, so I just left
this one.
What
is that?
Oh, that was from our show yesterday. That was Sunday.
So this is really the gang. So this is episode 2. Jamie, I liked this episode a little better than last week, the premiere. Maybe because I got a little more characterization and got to know them a little better. But there were a couple things that turned me off a little bit also.
Okay. Like
I didn't really like the characterization. So we talked last week. So the 2 people in the center, Terry, right? The guy with the beard is named Terry. Travis and Lisa. We talked last week about how it was kind of unnecessary to make Travis and Lisa be these like.
Yeah, you didn't like they brought politics into it.
And they brought politics into it again this week, right? And there's a scene where Kevin is talking about whatever he is, and Travis says, "Oh, he's such a libtard." And I was like, first of all, I don't know if people who are Trumpers or red staters or Republican voters even ever say that, or if that's just some weird.
Well, I think they're just rude. I mean, I think that's the thing. They're not just, I mean, they're racist, they're rude. I don't think it's just that they're Trump supporters, but
I mean, I think so. There's a part of this where he's a hunter and he hunts and he kills a monkey, and people don't want to eat the monkey. And the idea is like, well, you can starve to death or you can eat this monkey, right? Which I get it, right? But there was an element of like, yes, I get that everybody's down with hunting and shooting animals for sport is not a thing that everybody's down with. But there was an element that made it like more political. I just feel like
I'm also not sure why they were starving so much they had to eat monkey yet. Like I'm thinking of like Yellow Jackets and how long these girls went without eating, and these guys like can't go more than a day without having
day two. It's day two. Eat some leaves. Be hungry.
Yeah, I mean, right? Like you would have been fine. You cannot eat for a couple days and you'll live. I mean, they're assuming they're going to get rescued at this point. Because I think this is.
I just really feel like they went out of the political. These two are the political couple, and I felt you can make them not be the most popular people in camp without politicizing it, and they can have ideas about like hunting can be a thing without them also like disparaging liberals or other people saying that they're like I just think it was unnecessary. As you said it, I'm quoting you because you said last week it was unnecessary to make.
Well, I don't know that it. I mean, it doesn't matter to me as much as it does to you, but I don't know that it was necessary to make them unlikable, because they're unlikable in the sense that they're racist, but like they were. There was other reasons that maybe they made them seem likable at first, and then they turned them into racist. So I don't know.
Well, they made last week. They made that mark about
and not just racist. That was the thing too. They could have just been racist. They didn't need to necessarily be racist and Trump supporters, or.
But they could have just been. They could have just been different. It could just be like different kinds of people. They didn't have to comment on a guy. You're in Mexico, he's Latino. They didn't have to like call somebody a libtard.
I'm just laughing at, sorry. I didn't mean that about what you were saying. I was laughing at Misha because she says 15 minutes after crash, they'd be like, okay, who we're going to eat first.
Yeah.
But yeah,
when they called Kevin a libtard, I felt like they were trying to appeal to us. Like, I'm like, what are you doing to your viewers? Like, why are you trying to?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're trying to pick up viewers or trying to make you not like them.
It was really unnecessary. And you can have people be like, I'm not sure I want to kill an animal and eat it. And that could be a discussion about whatever, right?
What does killing an animal have to do with politics, unless I'm out of the loop? Because I don't see what.
Not everyone believes in hunting. They had been in Guatemala on a hunting trip. I get that not everything to do with sport. Politics. But Lisa was like, look, if you want to eat, you can eat this monkey or not, right? Like, I get that also.
Yeah.
And they went out of their way to make them a little, and then when Travis dies of a heart attack or not, right? Like why they got to set him up to be unsympathetic? Like, I feel sorry for this guy for dying, right? Like,
yeah, that's why I said it seems like on one hand they're trying to make you not like them, but then it seems like maybe they're not. So I'm not sure what they're saying with the whole thing that they did, because to me, I don't really care whether they like Trump or not. They were racist. That was what made me feel unsympathetic, because they were nasty to everybody because of that.
I mean, they were.
Not unsympathetic to him dying. I don't mean that, but I mean make you not like them. They're clearly
racist. Were they ignorant? Like, they were like, oh, this guy doesn't speak English, she's Latino. I'm like, oh, you're on Guatemala Airlines, right? Yeah.
But anyway, regardless of that,
and a much less likable person turns out to be, what's this guy's name?
They're asking me offhand.
So this guy, it is confirmed. Do you know their name, the couple?
Dan and Amy.
So it turns out that Amy is, as we suspected, she's rich. Her father's a cyber billionaire, a tech billionaire. They just met. They got married. Turns out that he's maybe kind of sketchy. What a big surprise. He was the limo driver who met her and
probably maybe married for her money. I mean, we don't really know, but that's definitely what it seems like.
I mean, is her name Sonia, the British girl? When they talk, she's like, "Oh, lucky Dan." And he goes and he he goes to find the pilot's cell phone. He chops off his finger so that he can use it to try to steal the guy's money from his bank account on his cell phone, right? That's what he's trying to do, I think, right, Jamie?
Which I kind of feel like if you get the phone to work, wouldn't it be more important to try to get rescued than to be worrying about the internet working for the bank account? Just saying.
Steal his money, right?
Yeah.
So I have a phone that requires I need to use my.
That's the other thing. You'd have to put a PIN number and everything else in it too. You couldn't just steal somebody's money.
I mean, I need a fingerprint to get into my cell phone, but I also need a second level to get into my bank account, right? But anyway, this guy's he's trying to steal the money from the he's like, oh, he's dead. Let me steal his money.
Yeah.
I think this guy is I don't think he's the killer. I am more convinced than ever that the killer is an external person and is not among the passengers. Do you think that?
I tended to start thinking that too. Now, I got to say first, though, I do want to comment. Lisa said, I do think that they did a good job with the body in the sense that when I first saw that pilot die, I'm like, that guy's suffocated. I think you could tell the way he was blue, like something was going on. And I like that she's like, hey, I know somebody choked him or suffocated him or whatever. She called that out. Which I like that the doctor wouldn't have called that out though. But I guess if it was lungs, maybe.
I like also that she's like, I worked in a hospice, somebody died. I've had I know, like, I agree with you that it's kind of shocking that Kevin, do I have a picture of Kevin? I don't know if I have a picture of Kevin.
Yeah, there's a picture of Kevin.
Who is supposedly a doctor.
You'll find him eventually. Here, I can find him.
He's somewhere here. He's in the main. Kevin is a doctor, allegedly, and that he would not see the signs of a person who was suffocated to death, and instead, like, oh, he died from my surgery that I did on him.
Well, that's what I question. I was going to say, like, I could see him, wanting, like, feeling guilty and assuming that he did it. But I could be wrong, but I would think, I know the guy, like, had fluid in his lungs or something, but I don't think it would make him turn blue like that. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but
I wonder.
They look like that usually.
His big story is like, I lost my practice and my money and my family to an insurance settlement. And oh, guess what? He's telling it to an insurance guy. Like, I just kind of wonder is there more to be learned about Kevin?
Yeah. I mean, to me, all of these people are sketchy. They're all hiding something. So
I just wonder if Kevin really has, I'm sorry, but you were trained as a doctor and he was so reluctant to help Travis, right? And now he's like, oh, he doesn't really, that Lisa's able to be like, oh, this guy was suffocated, and that Kevin is not able to. I wonder if he's even a doctor at all, or if he's got more of a, I don't know. But everybody's shady. You're right. I think Sonia's shady. Sonia is her name, right?
Yeah.
So there was that whole bit in this episode, Jamie, where Sonia and Zach decided to lock up all the food because somebody was stealing the water and the food. And they lock it up. And in the end, they can't find any salt. So Travis died.
I don't understand, though, that I mean, is salt really the only way that could have woken him up? I don't know anything about medicine, but I would think that they could have used something else, but I don't know.
Well, maybe they couldn't have used anything that they had. Maybe it's the only thing that they had that could work. I don't know, but
they what for, like, smelling salt, I guess, was the point.
She's pretty sketchy also, right?
Mm-hmm. But somebody did supposedly steal his beta blockers too. So they made it look like somebody was trying to kill him, I guess, before even poisoning him.
I guess I can tell you that I take a beta blocker.
But would have taken a while.
I take a beta blocker because pretty much everybody who's over 55 takes a beta blocker, and I can forget it for multiple days in a row.
But you don't have a bad heart, though.
I never had a heart attack.
My mother takes it, I think, for her heart.
Yes, but I never had a heart attack. I don't have a bad heart. I never had a heart attack, so I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
And he also takes.
But it would have still been slow. It wouldn't have been like he's going to die the next day. Yeah. It might have been more for a paranoia thing. It might have been he lost him. It might have been maybe she took him because she wanted to get rid of him. I don't know. Like I said, I think everybody's sketchy in the show, so it's hard to tell. But I'm trying to see what else. I feel like I have
the luchador. So Carlos, the luchador.
Yes.
So it turns out what we expected, that in his suitcase, it's his uniform because he wants to go to this big fight. I think that they're going out of their way to make him sketchy, which makes me think he's not sketchy, that he's not. I mean,
that's why I think it might be an external source. And this is kind of like the idea with Paradise, what we were saying, like, if you're trying to guess who it is, if it's not one of them, like, does that mess you up? I don't know. But obviously Amy thinks that it's not one of them. Like, Amy's sort of right, isn't she?
Amy has like twice thinks she saw somebody. I want to make sure she thinks she saw somebody lurking about in the woods, right?
Which I think makes sense. I mean, I just, with the whole thing with the Mexican government and everything like that's going on down there, there's something weird going on.
Well, also Dan cracks the cell phone and they get Carlos to translate Octavio's message to his girlfriend, and he says, I have no idea where I am, I can't figure it out, they won't let any of us, he says they won't let any of us live, right? Even if we crash, they won't let us survive. And right, he says this very suspicious that, right? And that's what makes Lisa say, like, one of you is a killer. But I think it means, I took it to mean the killer's an outside killer. I think it's an outside killer.
Yeah, that was my guess too. But I still think that people are suspicious. Are they suspicious because they're one of the ones killing people? I don't know. Yeah.
They're suspicious of each other, and Lisa does not do any favors where Lisa's like, oh my God, one of y'all is a killer. One of y'all tried to kill my husband. You all are killers. You all are.
Is it me, though, or does she not seem as upset as I feel like she should be?
I don't know. I mean, she could be in shock, right? So I do like the idea that he ate Amy's portion of food. So did somebody poison Travis or did somebody poison Amy?
Yeah.
And I think Dan could poison Amy for the money, right? Like, she's rich. He married this rich girl.
Or is it possible that, you know, something in the monkey could have killed him and he had too much of it? And I mean, I even kind of wondered that. Like, maybe they all, because they didn't eat very much, it didn't make him sick, and then he had too much and he has a bad heart and the combination killed him. I mean, that's very
possible. There's some creepy shit in monkey meat. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to think with this show, I think probably somebody murdered him, just because I don't think this is as deep of a, you know, figuring out what's going on.
This show, 9 Bodies, it's about somebody being murdered every single day, and we're going to find out who the murderer is. And the only person who's not the murderer is this guy.
Why do you say that?
Because he's the star of the show.
You think he's the star? See, I thought Eric McCormick was the star. At least that's what I thought originally. They're kind of both are. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of feel like the three. I feel like the two of them and Sonia are like going to be the last 3.
She could be the last person, although she could be the killer. She's so sketchy right now that she can't be the killer because she's too weird to be, like, she's too sketchy and secretive right now, and that means she's not the killer, right? I feel like Amy seems kind of too clueless, but it could be her. I think it's an outside person. Just none of these people, like, could these two do it? Amy's clueless. Dan is a petty thief.
Hungry. Yeah, he's
right. Like, Travis is dead. Lisa, I think, was in love with Travis.
Yeah.
He seems to be the good guy. Carlos seems to be really maybe. Okay, so one person has survived. I think it'd be Carlos. He seems to be the person who is most capable of surviving in the jungle, to me.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. He is the one that, for whatever reason, seems like he'd be more resourceful.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure why, but he does seem like he'd be more resourceful.
All right. So, too early to tell, episode 2, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, the only thing I will say is a lot of times in a story like this, I would say that maybe one of the people we think are dead isn't dead, but they're definitely dead. I mean, they're wrapped up bodies. They're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. What else happens? Do they go anywhere in this episode? I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to spoil
No,
something.
there's a scene where they're in the morgue in the military morgue,
Well, that
and,
yeah.
and they take a bunch of pictures, and the boss is like, "I told you not to touch these bodies," blah blah. And they're like, one of them had no face. It was so disgusting. We were puking. One has no face. And so we're waiting to see
somebody's going to get shot or something in the face,
or
they take away their identity for some reason.
Yeah, take your identity, right? Could I take your face off so I can pretend that I'm you, right? Like, we don't know what that is, but that was the main thing that seemed to happen in the there was also a scene where there was a phone call where that girl who was in the car waiting last week, like, she gets a phone call,
but we don't know who has the radio, so
we don't know anything about that.
There's also, I was looking to see, there is the thing about the black box or whatever the hell it is. It says ELT, they're trying
to ring that up, and they're like, Carlos, you're a wrestler, why do you know so much? He's like, my parents own a Radio Shack. Like, everybody's getting really suspicious of each other, I think, is all that meant, right?
Yeah. Now this has the thing with the gum, right? Because they go up there. Do they go up yet?
No, they're gonna try to go to a higher level, but they don't go.
Okay, sorry, that doesn't spoil anything though, because nobody knows what I'm talking about. But okay, I thought they went. That's what it sounded like from this.
They know that they have to go to a higher level.
Yes, they're going to go to try to go to the higher level to put them up. But right now they're more worried about people getting killed. All right. The pond. There's also the Barracuda pond, which I'm like, no, that has no shoe. What's he supposed to do without a shoe? Not cool. And we forgot about, okay, so there's a Barracuda pond that they do finally, let's see, they hook up a thing to filter the water.
They get water. They get water.
So they have water now, and did they catch a fish or something? I can't remember. No, they just have the monster.
No. They just are like, oh, the water's not clean. We got to be careful. That's all.
But they have a way to get water now. I feel like they would be fine for a few days. They need to like chill. Yeah. But she does make a point. Sonia makes a point about the mushrooms that are poisonous, and that's what they think maybe killed Travis. That he might have been poisoned.
But nobody really knows, right? Nobody knows. Yeah. All right.
But I don't know.
I'm not in love with this show. I mean, it's okay, and I'm curious enough to watch another episode, but I'm not like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what happens next. It's fine. It's not quite there yet for me to be like, look, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not like, oh, let me turn it on right now and watch it, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it, but I feel like this is more of a bingeable show, in my opinion. Like, it isn't something you need to wait the week, and I think maybe it does better if you watch it all together. But I don't know. I like to binge. I'm a binger, you know that. So
yeah. And I'm like a person that likes to have that week in between, but this show doesn't require that week in between.
Yeah, there's not super detailed things. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out that there were clues along the way and we just missed them. But I'm not like finding like super detailed clues. I just think that everybody right now, to me, is suspicious. But I do agree. I think there's a good chance that it's somebody outside of them that's doing the killing. I don't know whether Amy's actually seeing somebody or not, but I don't think. Yeah, I think there's a good chance it's not one of them, especially because of the whole thing going on with that couple that's on the outside.
I think there's something on that plane that. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll find out, but maybe we should move along to our next show, huh?
Yep.
Daredevil.
Wow. That I called Daredevil Reborn for some stupid reason.
Is AJ out there? I would love to go to AJ because I think that you and I are not gigantic fans, and I think that AJ understands the character better Marvel-wise. And AJ, how'd you like the show?
I liked both the two episodes. I was annoyed how it started though. Like,
really? With the killing of Poppy?
Yes, the killing of Foggy pissed me off. It's interesting because the show went through. The show went through some turmoil. The original writers of the show and everything, they were kind of making it more like She-Hulk, where it was going to be more like, it was originally 18 episodes. It was a half-hour show, and it was going to be more courtroom based. And Kevin Feige said, absolutely not, and got new writers, and they cut it down to, I don't even know how many episodes it is now. And they made hour long, 45 minutes to an hour long episodes, and kind of got back. And they actually, I guess they rehired the original writers from the Netflix shows. So originally, Foggy and Karen were not in the show. The rumor was that they were both killed off screen.
Oh, in the plan to make this show, they were not going to be in it.
Right. And so they
Daredevil's two best friends. They're Daredevil's best friends, right?
This is all from the series then that I didn't see, is what you're saying.
Yes.
No. Yeah. Yes, from the old series.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
I did not watch
now they're in the show, and then they kill Foggy in the first 5 minutes. It was like, what was the point?
So I agree with you, AJ, and I think Jamie, you might agree, as people who don't read the comics, and I've not seen the Netflix version of the show, that for Foggy to be killed in the first 5 minutes, I think the emotion of that was not felt by those of us. Like, it was hard for me to feel that because I didn't know.
Yeah, I definitely didn't feel, because I didn't know who the hell either of them were. I mean,
well, yeah,
I kind of figured out they were probably from it, but
and then later we see that Matt is very distraught by it, but we don't really. And so they're killed. He's killed. Foggy is killed. And then it flows into this big fight with this guy who I have no idea who this guy is. And I don't know why.
Yeah, AJ, is he from just the comics, or was he in MCU before?
He was in season 3.
He was in, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's Bullseye.
And there's a very, very big fight. And so I'm like, well, why? Why did he try to shoot Foggy? Why did he kill him? And he killed a bunch of, like, it makes no sense to me. And I watched 2 episodes and it still makes no sense, right? 2 episodes.
I think that they should have put some kind of recap or something in for those of us who did not see the original.
And
because
that's yeah.
I did not even know that you were supposed to see the original. I mean, like, I thought they were unconnected. Granted, I haven't been reading all about it. You guys read more about it than I do. But because people don't necessarily know that, they should have put in some kind of little thing.
Well, and Jamie, we watched Hawkeye. Did you watch Hawkeye? I watched Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And I know that we watched Hawkeye.
But that's it.
We watched Hawkeye and we watched Echo, which are 2 prequels to this, which weren't supposed to be, but now are, right? Because they're Kingpin and all this.
Yeah, but I feel like I didn't necessarily, like, I think you could understand it without knowing who he was as a villain. Like, I mean, I appreciate that I do know, but I feel like that to me didn't feel like it was missing as much as these characters did, because they were his friends and I had no clue who the hell they were.
So AJ, you watched the whole first Netflix series. So did that give you like the emotion you needed going into the killing of Foggy and this fight with this rando guy who, he throws like 6 daggers and they all keep fighting with daggers sticking out of their bodies also, right? What was that?
So all right. So first of all, Bullseye is called Bullseye because he's
a good shot.
He's a really good shot. He always hits his mark.
Who is he? Why does he hate Matt? Why did he kill Foggy? What the fuck was
Benjamin Poindexter
going on in this whole show? What the hell?
And that's the thing. And that's exactly what I the first thing I thought when watching this was, nobody that has not seen the first 3 seasons is going to know what the hell's going on.
You know what?
I mean,
she makes a good point. Misha makes a good point. They might not be allowed to put like a recap because it was Netflix. But and that maybe they just wanted it for the people that like Netflix version. But I feel like they could have, I don't know, added a scene with them so we felt some kind of connection to them, is more what I guess.
The thing is, and that's, the thing is, even without that, there's certain things like Matt flipping him onto the ground like that off the top of the roof was huge because Daredevil doesn't kill.
Oh, really?
Daredevil doesn't kill people. That is the first time Daredevil has attempted to kill somebody. So that was huge. It's, you know, which is another reason that he stops being Daredevil, because he technically crossed the line that he was never going to cross. Now, he didn't die because
that guy has superpower. How could that guy not die? He has superpowers, right?
Yeah.
At the end of season 3, he had his back broken by Kingpin, and they were doing experimental surgery on him at the end of the season 3, and they were doing something to his spine that was medical experimental.
So that's why he didn't die of a broken spine.
He's enhanced somehow. I don't know the specifics of it, but
let me ask you, AJ, is it worth going back and watching those 3 seasons?
Yes and no. Yes, to kind of understand and Matt a little better. No, because I feel like now that part of it's done, I feel like the entire the season's going to be about Fisk being the mayor and Matt defending White Tiger and possibly others.
But I'm saying, is it a good show that's worth watching if you want?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think we should think so.
Yeah.
Is it on Disney Plus though? Isn't it on there? Is it on Disney Plus now, or do you have to get it on Netflix?
Yes.
That's what I thought. You would think they had.
Yeah, that's how Karen almost started watching the wrong one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I'm more so than I mean, I got these characters were his friends. I could figure that out, but I didn't. I agree. I didn't feel like I knew him or cared about him that much. But my biggest complaint about this part of the episode, and I don't know. I told you this when I was watching it. I thought maybe it was partially supposed to be because he was blind. It was to make you feel disoriented. I don't know. But I felt like that whole scene was so dark. There was fog and everything in it, and it was really dark. Unless it was just on my TV, it seemed too dark. I don't know. But I couldn't quite figure out some of what was going on. Like, people were flying here and there as the bullseye was killing him or throwing him or whatever. And they had the whole hearing thing. And yes, I get that was because he was listening. I figured that out. But it didn't, I didn't know if it was on purpose directed that way to make it feel disorienting. But to me, it just felt like I couldn't figure out the details of what was going on.
You mean the whole fight? You mean the whole fight scene you found
between Bullseye and Daredevil? I did not like the fight. It did not land right for me. And I was just kind of like, what the hell was that? I couldn't figure out who was, I mean, I knew it was 2 people fighting, but I couldn't see to tell exactly what was supposed to be going on during that fight.
Need brighter TVs. I didn't think the scenes were dark at all.
I don't know.
I mean,
because Marvel usually has good choreography and stuff. And I wanted to see the fight and I felt like I couldn't see enough of it.
I mean,
in the restaurant or the bar part rather.
I think I'm getting used to shows being pretty dark, going back to the X-Files, where shit is just dark and you can't really tell what's going on. What I didn't love about, I thought it wasn't well edited. It's really, I didn't mind the lighting. I thought the editing, most fight scenes are not well edited on television lately. And most of the advanced reviews talk about the show as being very violent. And it was pretty violent, but not the most violent thing I've seen. But it was a fairly violent fight,
did
right?
You think the fight was it was just me? I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it.
I thought it was pretty violent, but I did appreciate the level at which both guys were kind of becoming exhausted, right? And it was a fight where guys were like, "Oh, I'm fighting you. You hit me in the head. I can't get up. Oh, I punch you in the stomach. Oh, you can't get up." I did think it was. Look, I've never seen a big fight like that. I don't really know what it would look like, but I thought that it was not superhero-y and more regular guy-ish kind of a fight, maybe. But I had no idea who this guy was. To me, the biggest part was why would this guy try to shoot Foggy? Why is he a sniper? Why did he kill him? Why is he fighting Matt? What the hell? And I've watched 2 episodes now. I still have no freaking clue why this guy did this or what was going on. I understand that part of it is about Matt deciding not to be Daredevil anymore.
Maybe it's just to wrap it up.
I don't really get why he made the decision, but I understand it was precipitating. I also don't think Foggy's dead. And so I think that Misha has also said somewhere in this conversation, wait, hang on. I think they're trying to recreate the feeling of that Daredevil fight in the hallway in season 1. AJ, can you answer this question?
It was a really great fight scene in a hallway in season 1. Like, there's no other. I mean,
Reminiscent of this fight. Did you feel it was reminiscent of this fight?
without seeing it, there's no, I can't. There's no. You have to see it to understand. It's a great fight scene.
Yeah, but did it make you think of that fight scene? Was it reminiscent of that?
Well, I mean, each season of Daredevil always has like one iconic fight scene. This was different. See, the thing that I noticed the most about this was their fight. I noticed the tempo of their fight changed depending on Foggy's heartbeat. Because throughout the whole fight, he's listening to Foggy's heartbeat. And when they start getting tired and the fight kind of start winding down, Foggy's heartbeat is getting slower and slower and slower. And that's how the fight went.
You know what? I told you guys what it reminded me of, and maybe that was why I was taken out of the fight. And I thought it was funny after, because I felt like the fight to me was filmed in a confusing way. And the way they kept doing the thing with Foggy, like I said, I get that he was listening to his heartbeat. He was trying to tell, what was going on. But it reminded me of one of those video games where you're trying to like kill the bad guy, but also save the girl, and like you've got a time limit, and like you hear them dying as you're trying to do something else, and it's like you're running out of time. And that's all I could think of as I was watching. As it seemed like a video game scene, and it just, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't understand your comment because I don't play video games. The last video game I played was like 20 years ago, so I didn't really get that, but I understood that maybe in some way the fight.
And maybe that was on purpose. I don't know.
I mean, Misha points out at the time Daredevil was on Netflix, it was the most violent thing on TV until the Punisher came out. They say this show is going to be very violent. I guess I just haven't. In that first episode, they didn't make me understand Matt's feeling, right? And I still don't. Look, I agree. I think Misha made a comment earlier in the chat, which I don't see right now. Like, do we believe that Hoppy is dead? I don't think he's dead because it's Marvel. And in Marvel comics, there are characters introduced in like 1945 who live and die, live and die, live and die, live and die, right? And I think this guy might not really be dead also because I don't really believe that you cast Eldon Henson and then kill him in the first 5 minutes of the show, right? Like Eldon Henson has to come back. I think he might have faked his own death, or could he come back as a superhero? I don't really know. I don't read this comic book or watch the show.
Foggy is human, and in this case, dead has got to be dead.
You think he's dead? You think he's really dead?
I think he's dead.
I got a question for you guys. Did they already film 2 seasons of this?
No, they're filming season 2 right now.
Okay, because if you look at the cast list on our movie database, it totally spoils people coming in. So, yeah.
So don't look at him.
All right.
Well, I know. I'm just saying. Like, I was like, really? I'm surprised. Sorry. Go ahead.
So I also did not immediately love the whole Vanessa and Kingpin Fisk business. So, so I watched Echo. We all watched Echo together, and we watched Hawkeye. And so I know about the Kingpin a little bit and about his relationship with some of these characters. And so I get it. But I guess maybe maybe Hawkeye and Echo didn't make him the gigantic villain that the original Daredevil maybe did. Like the idea that he's like, oh, I'm a criminal, but now I'm going to run for president. He just doesn't seem
for governor
that horrible, right? Jamie, is he horrible?
Yeah, he seemed in this one like maybe he really had changed, but I remembered AJ saying something about him changing or something, and I didn't know if he's supposed to still be the super bad guy. I mean, watching it, I assume that he's not really going to stay this you know, somewhat nice person. But yeah, he didn't seem like a super big bad, but I felt like that's the point right now, because you're probably not supposed to be 100% sure.
Because people voted for him and they.
Yeah, at this stage, you're supposed to think, is it possible he changed? I mean, you know, villains can change sometimes in these shows. But yeah, I don't really remember him being such a huge villain. I remember him though, but I don't know. All I keep thinking though, and this is a dumb thing to say, but that has got to really be hard on that guy's voice. Every time he talks, I think that has got to hurt.
It did not for you, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so AJ, I'd love to hear what you think about the Kingpin and Fisk, or whoever you call him right now, and all about that.
So, again, you don't know his history with him and Vanessa.
We can't hear you. So say that again.
All right.
I don't know what.
I was closing a door. You don't know the history with him and Vanessa. So you don't understand why she's so pissed off, because he was in the first 3 seasons of Daredevil. He's the lead, you know, he's the kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
All the organized crime in New York City.
Wait,
And
AJ,
Vanessa,
you went out again. We heard like half of that.
All right, I'll start again. He's the kingpin. In the first 3 seasons, he is the leader of all organized crime in New York City. And Vanessa stands right by his side. I mean, there's even, you know, in season 3, actually, she says to him, she's like, don't hide, you know, your other world from me. Because, like, he tries to keep Vanessa and the crime separate. And she's like, you don't need to hide that from me. She's like, I'm with you 100%. So somewhere between the end of season 3 and now, Kingpin, well, basically after Echo shot him,
Yeah.
he went on, you know, he went off on his own to recover and whatnot and everything. And she took over and the organization has flourished. And now he just pops back in all of a sudden, which is why their relationship is strained, because she's pissed because he didn't let her help him recover.
Oh, he sidelined her from his recovery.
Yeah.
And then she became the business leader, and now she's threatened by that.
Not threatened, but she's pissed off at him.
Uh-huh.
You know, how would you feel if you had a relationship with somebody and everything's great and everything, and then something happens to that person? They're like, I can't be around you right now. I have to go do this on my own.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why she's pissed off.
And so, like, we watched Echo. We saw that Echo, like, what happened. She shot him and his recovery, but we didn't have any of that Vanessa stuff.
No. Which, and then we have a great line in the diner later when he's like, I had a bit of a protege, and Matt's like, didn't that protege shoot you in the face?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a quick recap of that.
Yeah. There's even a Spider-Man comment in there.
Yes, there was.
Yes. So we had this comment offline. AJ, you texted us and said, this is going to show us, like, how much do you need to have watched previous Marvel to understand and like the show. So do you understand and like the show, AJ?
I understand everything. And I that's why I'm saying I feared that the two of you were going to have all the questions that you've had.
No, I mean, yeah, I understand it. I just feel like it would have been better to have a bit more.
Yeah. That being said, I think moving forward, I think maybe you guys will have a better time because the new story, you know, like all this, the past stuff is the past stuff, but now pretty much we have what, you know, starting with episode 3, I think it's going to be what you see is what you get. And I don't think you're going to need to know as much of the history anymore.
Yeah,
because it's a whole,
I think it was more the first episode was the previous.
I don't remember I don't remember where the first one started and the second one.
Well, I thought, okay, first of all, I was going to say we got it. Misha said, I assume she means Kingpin, that the fact he still owns that suit.
Oh, because he still has the white suit in his closet, right? I think Misha's talking about when he goes through all of his suits and he chooses the dark suit, but the white suit, because he used to wear a white suit when he was a big bad guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is actually kind of funny because usually like the white is the good and the dark is the bad.
I looked at Misha. So Misha, sounds like you watched the first version of Daredevil. I mean, I'd love to hear whether you want to just call us or just like type in it, like if you thought that it was really, and it probably fits him, if it's important to, like, for those of us who didn't watch it, I don't know if you feel the same way as AJ, like it was important to have seen it, but maybe we can get past it. To me, the major thing was the loss of, what's his name? Foggy?
Foggy, yeah.
The worst name ever, but I know it's from the comic books.
It's a nickname.
Like the way that affects Matt is hard for me to get because I've never seen him before. Like it's this huge loss in the first 5 minutes, right?
You don't know their relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
And we see throughout 2 episodes how he struggles with it, and I get it, it comes around, but in those first 5 minutes, I'm like, why is this such a big deal? And why is this guy shooting it? I still don't get why that guy shot him and a bunch of cops. I still don't understand that bullseye guy at all.
I don't know.
But the white tiger is starting to come into focus a little better, right? And
yeah, what is that? What one is that from? Because I did not remember anything about White Tiger, but then again, you guys.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think going forward, it's gonna be a little easier because it's all new. Like,
White Tiger isn't from the original. I assumed
no, everything with him defending the White Tiger, and see, vigilantes started coming out of when Daredevil retired. The vigilantes started coming out of the woodwork.
Okay, well, because they also mentioned Spider-Man and Punisher, which I guess from reading a recap, that tattoo had to do with Punisher, which I didn't know and wouldn't have known, and they should have explained.
Well, like when Daredevil retired, other guys had to step up and start fighting crime, maybe is why.
Well, yes and no. I mean, Matt went out, Matt stopped being Daredevil, and, Spider-Man was already around and Punisher was already around. But then more and more people started, taking matters in their own hands because the cops weren't doing anything. So,
yeah, I didn't see Punisher either. So, did you watch Punisher, Karen?
No. Okay. So Misha agrees with AJ. Going into episode 1, it was useful, but going forward, it won't be that useful to have seen the Netflix. This show takes place 6 years after Netflix. But the first 3 seasons are good. In fact, all Marvel stuff from Netflix is pretty good, except for maybe Iron Fist. I didn't watch any of it, but I heard that Jessica Jones was really good. I heard that Flash was really good.
I always intended to watch that because of David Tennant. I never did. Yeah, here's the thing.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the idea, obviously the first episode seems to be to somewhat wrap up what happened, which a lot of it we didn't quite, connect with, which I agree with. And it was to get to the point, which is where it ended, AJ, that we know Fisk is mayor. Karen said president, mayor. And he has that conversation at the end with Fisk about that they've both changed, or have they, I guess is the point, because I'm guessing they haven't. But that being said, the next episode, I liked the second episode a lot better. I thought the first episode was pretty boring. Granted, I didn't see the original, but I thought it was fairly boring. The second episode, I enjoyed. Is it my favorite Marvel series? No, but I enjoyed it a lot more. Did you, Karen, or did you not like the second one either a whole lot?
Started to maybe speak to me a little more. I started to come into it a little more. It reminds me a little. Actually, it was weird. When I was watching this, I had this weird ad that was some sort of how you get into. I don't have the premium version of Disney, so I have ads. And there was this weird ad that was it was some ad that was calling out to Batman. I was like, wait, Batman? He's not part of this. He's DC. But while I was watching this, I got some feelings.
State Farm ads. I keep seeing State Farm.
Yeah, State Farm ads But while I got some feelings about. So this is all about vigilantes, and I was like, oh well, wait a minute, because Watchmen is a lot about vigilantes, right? And I was like, I know this is not Watchmen, but I'm getting that whole vigilante thing going on. And also, I know this this is set in New York City, but it's sort of a dystopian New York with a lot of crime. And it was giving me Gotham City kind of vibes, with the modern Batman stories are very like a city like eaten by crime, right? And so I was getting all of those vibes, but because I don't read or watch Daredevil, I was like, wait, what? Everything is vigilante. What? I don't know if you have any feelings about that, either of you guys, or if it was just me like being, you know.
I hadn't really thought about it, but now that you said it, I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But I never really cared for whatchamacallit.
For what?
I already forgot the title now that you said it.
Watchmen?
Yeah, I never really did. I might feel differently now though, because I never used to like Marvel either, so I don't know that I wouldn't like it now.
Jamie, the Damon Lindelof Watchmen is fantastic.
Well, that was that's why I said I probably now would feel a lot different, I feel like, than I did then.
So Misha says it's real NYC, LOL, but Daredevil initially is set in Hell's Kitchen, which was much different than yes. Daredevil was born and raised in Hell's Kitchen, right? And that was a very different part of New York. A different part, I say different part of New York, but it's changed a lot, right? I think that he grows up in Hell's Kitchen. He's blinded in Hell's Kitchen, maybe, right? It's different now. It's probably, I don't know. I don't get to New York much anymore, but it's probably nobody can afford to live there because the rents are sky high, right?
I mean, let's put it this way: it's got, obviously it's good. The crime and everything's going to be embellished. Otherwise, you don't really have much of a TV show.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more gentrified. Yeah, and the show is right now sort of like he's from the kitchen, but he's not there anymore. Right. I mean, obviously, by the second episode, Matt's law firm has changed a little bit. In the first episode, they talk about it being a storefront. In the second episode, I guess maybe it's a storefront, but he's got a new partner, and they're a little more shishy. And she's definitely like, "Don't take on. I sent you down. Why do you have this pro bono case?" I didn't ask you to go to Rikers and take on this case, which turns out to be the White Tiger. Which is amazing. And now it all starts to turn around, maybe. Homie was broke in the original Daredevil.
Yeah.
Right? Was he broke?
Yeah. They were always broke.
They were like storefront lawyers taking on like pro bono cases and not being able to pay the bills.
And that was kind of why they were broke. Well, they were trying, they were trying to help people that couldn't afford lawyers, really, So right. they would take payment in like chickens, whatever the people could,
Yeah. Here's a basket of apples. Here's some
exactly.
Yeah. And they were just about to make it, and I guess now in Daredevil, I mean, his partner is like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I can defend this guy." So it's an interesting. So we're gonna keep watching it. It's interesting that a lot of the show seems to be about police corruption, like the main case against White Tiger, but he it's the police who are shaking down somebody when he stumbles onto this crime, right? And it's about police corruption and police with impunity and whatever. That seems to be maybe a really good story that we can get into going forward.
I'm pretty sure I know where they're going with it, and it's gonna be interesting.
You know where they're going because have you read these comics, AJ?
Not Daredevil, but Punisher.
Oh, you read Punisher, huh?
So I know where I got a pretty good idea what they're going to do with it.
Yeah. Oh, so one of the cop plays a bad cop. I haven't seen Mayor Kingstown. I need to watch that also. That's supposed to be an excellent show. So you read Punisher. So, and I know that Punisher's in this, and he's played by John Bernthal, who we know from Walking Dead, right? He's going to be in this show.
Yep.
Punisher's
and he's also going to get his own. they've already announced that he's going to get a limited series too.
Did he not have one? He was in the old.
He had his own
Punisher series.
He had 2 seasons on Netflix, but now after this he's going to have I don't know if it's a limited series or if it's going to be like one of those Marvel one-shots. I'm not sure about that.
Or is it one of the limited series where they say it's limited and then it's not?
Well, no, I think it might actually be like kind of like Jesus Christ, the werewolf one.
Oh,
okay, Moon,
or like a Marvel Spotlight, that type of thing.
Moon, what's that called? Moon
Wolf, Moon.
No, it's Jesus Christ, Werewolf at Night.
Okay, I'm thinking of the other one that was on.
Oh, you're thinking of Moon Knight.
Yeah, Moon Knight. Yeah.
And I was talking about John Bernthal too, by the way. That's who I was saying it spoiled was in it, but I guess everybody knows that then apparently, except for me.
All right, so I got to tell you, AJ and Jamie, when I watched the first episode of Daredevil for the first time, I was like, "Oh, there's no way I'm watching this." I watched it a little bit the second, then I went back and I rewatched it. And I was like, all right, well, I watched the first 2 over again. I'm like, okay, I can watch this through for our show, but I'm not sure that I really am that interested.
I don't know. I liked the second episode. I mean, like I said, I didn't love it. Like, it's not my favorite of the Marvel shows, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought the first one was pretty boring, but I think it was because I like you said, I didn't connect with the characters in the sense that I didn't know the original characters, but I liked the case, in the second one. It was almost like part of it was sort of like a story of the week, but yet the stuff with Fisk obviously isn't. But
so I'm pretty sure that Matt's new girlfriend is going to turn out to be a bad.
Well, she's being his therapist.
She's already like being a therapist for random people that we don't trust. But I really don't like her because I didn't like her in Revenge, right? She was in Revenge.
That's a great reason. You didn't like her, the actress's character in another show, so you can't trust her in this
It's hard to trust her because she was a horrible person in Revenge.
You watched Amanda
Clark. She was Amanda Clark. So, look, I'm trying to, but I feel like she's maybe a weak point in Matt's social circle. So we'll see what happens.
Did you watch the end though, Karen? Because you said she was therapist to random people. She was therapist to Fisk.
No, she's not. They're not random people. It's a Fisk and to
okay.
Yeah, no, not random people.
I was gonna say.
I mean, originally, like they come to her book signing, and then it turns out she's like the marriage counselor of these 2 people, which is insane because like, wouldn't your boyfriend ever tell you like, "Oh, I hate that guy"? Like, right? Like,
well, I think she knows he wasn't super happy with Fisk winning. I mean, I think she got that idea, but
yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I don't know where she goes in the comic book. I don't know. Like, is she from the comic book? Do they eventually get married? Do they fall in love? Does she become a superhero? Who knows, right? You don't need to know that. We'll see what happens. But she seems to not be. She seems to be tenuous right now.
Yeah. Misha says, "Why didn't you think you'd watch it?"
I really didn't like the first episode. I thought was really boring. Like I was just so bored in the first episode, Misha. I thought like, what's going on? Like, do I care where these guys are being killed? Do I care about this fight? Do I care about anyone? Like, it just seemed like, and I didn't love the fight scenes. They weren't really like, I mean, they were a little bit artistic or whatever, but I didn't really care who won. Like, I'm like, whoever gets killed, whatever, I don't care.
I'm surprised that I liked it more, like the second one more than you did, because I'm not like you tend to like Marvel more than I do.
Yeah, I do tend to like Marvel more, and I just didn't really. I guess they just didn't give me a reason to like the characters, and then they launch into this thing where Matt meets this girl and whatever. It just took me a really long time to care about the people on the show. I think is why I didn't like it. But I thought it was boring. I just like, oh, who cares who gets killed? I need a person to latch onto from the beginning and to really like be my person, my entry point to the story. And there was none in the first episode.
That's fair. I mean, I don't know the extent that I know Daredevil, other than the original movie that Jason Isaacs was in way back when. Or no, that wasn't Daredevil. Yeah, but Daredevil was in it, wasn't he?
The original Matt, the original like
I'm thinking
the original
Electra.
Ben Affleck movie.
Yes, but for some reason I was thinking of Electra, and I said Electra. Anyway, I seen the original movie way back when with Ben Affleck, but like the most that I know is from what was in She-Hulk. So
Yeah, She-Hulk.
Which is very interesting, because I want to know where that falls in the timeline if he hasn't been Daredevil for a year.
Right?
Oh, that's a good question.
So I'm guessing that he had to have gone. Yeah, I mean, if he hasn't been Daredevil in the last 6 years, or in the last year, then where does She-Hulk fall into it? Does She-Hulk happen before Foggy is killed?
Well,
Because that's the only thing I can think of that would make sense.
And it reinforces the point that like we're kind of sick of Marvel telling us all of these shows are one-offs, but they're actually all connected. Like Hawkeye was a one-off, Echo was a one-off, She-Hulk was a one-off, but they're actually all really intertwined.
It's a one-off for the character.
Yeah.
But you have to
not
watch
for the people that not for the other people that pop up.
Yeah, it's some bullshit. I
I
for a
like
long
them
time
being connected. Though. We just say they should all be connected. I like that they're connected. I mean, I don't think sometimes I think they intertwine it too much because it's too confusing, and if you haven't watched all of them, but like the fact that they're connected also makes me want to watch more of them, which I think is the whole point of why they do it. So, I mean, I think it serves its purpose a lot of times. I don't know.
Well,
I still have not done. I don't think I ever finished my Marvel rewatch though to rewatch them in order. So a lot of them, like I've seen them all. I think at this point there might have been a couple I didn't. But speaking of, when the hell are you guys going to go see Captain America?
Well, maybe soon, because as Misha says, you can never be sure of the time or the universe. So
no, I'm just thinking it's funny that I saw Captain America and you guys didn't. But to be fair, I took my dad for his birthday. But I see that a couple weeks ago.
I'll go this week. I'll go this week. I'll go this week. I'll go tomorrow, maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. I want to see the next one of those. I think it was pretty good. In fact, let me know, people, if you want to have a watch party. We could watch it. Do a watch party when this is done.
Watch it. Which is right. Not everything happens on Earth 616, but that's part of what I don't like about the Marvel universe. Like, I'm kind of sick of all of this.
Or at least tell us if it doesn't.
You know. I'm not a big.
You got about 2 more years to deal with it.
I'm not a big multiverse fan, and I feel like, I want my story to have consequences, and I feel like when stuff could be in a different universe or a different whatever, like I want my story to, I don't like the idea that it's in a different universe. Oh, by the way, Tony Stark's alive over here. Like, that bothers me a lot. I storytelling wise, that I don't love that everything can be a loophole or be changed at any time.
Well, you got to deal with it till May 7th of 2027.
And that's the end of the phase 5 or whatever they're calling it. Yeah.
Now, phase 5 ends with Thunderbolts. That's the end of phase 6.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, that's when Secret Wars comes out in 2027. And that's when the multiverse will end.
Thank God. All right.
And on the bright side, there's only, I don't know about TV shows, but there's only 1, 2, 3, I think 4 movies in that time period that I'm aware of at the moment.
Oh, that's it? Good. Too many. So
the timeline got all screwed because of the strike. Everything got pushed back and screwed up. And
all right. In the meantime, I have maybe 5 more weeks of this show that we're watching, and I think it got better in the second episode, and maybe we'll get better going forward. I hope.
Yeah, I really think the third episode will be very telling. As far, I think they're just gonna go straight ahead. Yeah, Blade, right? Yeah, sure.
Oh my God, Blade! I would love to see Blade. Yes.
Blade. I'm sorry, but Blade is in development hell.
Oh, I hate that. Blade is one of my favorite. I mean, I loved the original Blade. Didn't maybe love the second or the third, but the
second one wasn't bad. The third one was bad. The second one was pretty good.
I would love to have Blade. I mean, Blade is one of the Marvel characters that is really underutilized, undershot, yes, must come. Bloodblade. I'm all about it. All right, kids. And we should wrap it up, huh?
I was going to say, was there anything else this week? I know Dark Winds started, but you guys don't watch that.
No, we don't watch Dark Winds.
So I'll have that. I do have an interview for that's coming up. Hopefully by tomorrow. I'm a little bit behind on stuff. But that reminds me, I thought you guys might like the beginning of it. It's been out now. So like I said, I thought it was, I thought about you guys when I saw it, but there's a scene at the beginning of Dark Winds with Robert Redford and George R.R. Martin.
Really? They're what are they giving
they're playing chess.
Or?
Yeah, no, they're playing chess. It's just like a little scene, but it's cute. It's just like a a reference joke thing.
That's another one that I tried to watch. I watched like the first episode and didn't grab me. And
it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn. It's good though. I like it. I've watched farther, but I like it. It's a pretty good show, but it's different. It's not for everybody. It's not like sci-fi or anything, but I have that. And then also I just put up the interview for I'm looking up their names so I say their names right because I know I'm going to probably butcher it anyway. But Siobhan McSweeney and Olafur Dari Olafson for Nine Bodies, the ones who play Travis and Lisa.
Cool. All right.
And I got more of the Nine Bodies stuff coming.
Great.
So yeah, what else do I have coming? I was going to say some other things. Obviously, like I said, Saturday, we have our, which you'll be back, I'm assuming.
I'm back.
Our Severance live stream, which we have our watch party at 10 in Discord and our live stream at 11. And then on Sunday, we're going to have our watch party we have our watch party for Yellow Jackets when it drops Thursday night too at midnight, or Friday morning at midnight, whatever you want to call it. But Sunday at 6 p.m., we're going to do the watch party because at 7 o'clock, we have Nia Sandaya, who plays Aquila, who's going to be our special guest coming. We also soon will have Vanessa Prasad coming as well, who plays Jen. That live isn't quite yet, but this week is Nia. So we have that. And then another episode of this on Tuesday. So please make sure you subscribe to Sci-Fi Vision and like the video and leave comments too, because the comments outside of the chat help the algorithm and really need to push some of that up. And don't forget that we have, Severance interviews and From interviews and lots of other interviews that have nothing to do with that and all that good stuff. We have Suits coming up. Well, Suits LA. I'm trying to see what else. More Deal or No Deal. I don't know. A lot of people don't watch reality, so I'm not sure. But what else? I feel like there's something else I'm missing. I don't know. Leverage is coming up, but
all right.
You don't watch it. You guys don't do that. So yeah, there's lots of stuff, but check all that out. There's still more 1920. I have a couple more 1923 interviews coming up too.
Cool.
So yeah, just trying to catch up on everything. But
all right. Well, we will see you guys next Tuesday, right?
Yep. Well, we'll see them Saturday, but yeah.
You and I will be here Saturday, yes.
Yeah, and right. let me know, guys, if you're up and you want to watch, because now I feel like going to watch Daredevil. If you guys want to do a watch party, I'm like totally up for having a watch party. I feel like going to watch the third episode.
Jamie just wants to do a watch party of everything.
All three. I'm not doing all three in one night. I'm not staying up all night again because that's what happened with Nine Bodies. Somebody wanted to watch it. I'm like, okay, and then I got there and everybody's like, this is the second episode, and I'm like, yeah, that's what you said you wanted to watch, and I.
Right, well, not here.
Yeah, but that would be fun. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Wow, we went for almost 3 hours.
Yep. Good night, you guys.
Yep, and Doctor Who's coming soon too. I was just gonna say we'll have Doctor Who soon. Golden Child like to let go.
And next week, next week we have Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time, yeah.
Oh, Wheel of Time. Yeah, we have Wheel of Time coming too. I forgot about that.
Right.
So, yeah.
All
right, guys. See you all in Discord. Thanks. Have a good night, guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.